General Michael Flynn, trying to get his case thrown out, even though the Justice Department wants to drop it, has dropped it. Judge Emmett Sullivan won't let go of this case. And now Sidney Powell has been working in the Trump campaign's efforts to get justice here in this election, despite all the fraud. Sidney Powell, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Hey.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks to Operation Warp Speed, we've actually guaranteed receipt of FDA authorized vaccine from Pfizer, 100 million doses that we purchased.
We may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December. We would be giving vaccine to people very likely before the end of this year.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
The good news is the Pfizer tests look good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan.
You're being negative Nancy. Stop it. Okay? Unless you want everyone to call you negative Nancy from now on.
I've been talking to governors across the nation about that. How can we shape the Trump administration vaccine plan to fix it or stop it?
That's the evilest thing I can imagine. Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Attorney General Bill Barr says federal prosecutors are authorized to investigate allegations of voter fraud.
This memo comes out authorizing federal prosecutors to look into substantial allegations of voting irregularities if there is clear and apparently credible, allegations of irregularities.
You mean like this?
Kirk Hartle said he was surprised when he found out his wife had sent in a mail-in ballot.
I was surprised because she passed away 3 years ago.
Clark County officials say Rosemary's signature is a match to what's on their records.
We're now finding that 25,000 nursing home residents in different nursing homes requested mail-in ballots at the exact same time.
Very interesting.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Wasn't that a beautiful statement by the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo? He's a candidate for the Republican nomination in 2024. I think that's safe to say. And he understands, unlike other would-be contenders, Nikki Haley comes to mind immediately. Willard Mitt Romney comes to mind. He understands that the people that are going to be voting in the 2024 Republican presidential primaries love Donald Trump. We love Donald Trump, do we not? And let me just say, we're going to stay strong here. This is a nail-biting time, but we have right on our side. We won the election. And we will prevail with the help of higher powers and the help of good lawyers and courageous politicians. Although I'm hoping more for higher powers and good lawyers than I am for the help from courageous politicians. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We got a lot of people coming on the show again today. We have Harmeet Dillon. She's the Republican National Committee woman from California. You've probably seen her on various channels. She's very good. She's been working on this campaign. And, the Republicans have flipped some seats apparently in California, some House seats. And this is good. This is good. And I guess, and I want to ask her if we're going to keep those or if they're going to ballot harvest them out like they did 2 years ago. Apparently one of them's already won just this afternoon since we called her. And we're going to have a guy named Scott Heinsohn. He's from Red State. He's done a really good job with these polls. I want to ask him about Wisconsin. And, there are all these weird stories going around. Eric Trump tweeted something out that flipped 16,000 votes on a glitch. Another one of those glitches. Isn't it funny how the glitches always benefit Biden? And the glitches never shift votes to, I don't know, the Prohibition Party or the Constitution Party or the Greenback Party or the Green Party. They always, or the Republican Party. Glitches always work on behalf of a Democrat. Have you noticed that? 844-500-4242. Some places are, some polling outfits are calling North Carolina for Trump, and they're also calling that Senate fight for Trump. Tom Tillis, he's the incumbent, kind of weak former Speaker of the North Carolina House, but he kept it against this guy, Cal Cunningham, who was touching everything but the third rail. And then he ran away from reporters. And it's amazing because I believe that Senate seat has been going back and forth. It's never been held for more than one term by anybody since the 1960s. That's a long time for a Senate seat to just shift every time. I mean, it's the classic swing seat. And now Tillis, who's far from the strongest candidate ever to come out of North Carolina or anywhere else, is going to hold it for the Republicans with a little bit of help from Cal Cunningham's libido, shall we say. All right. 844-500-4242. 339 says, yes, Pompeo was great. Glad you are realizing this isn't over. I've never said it was over. It's not over, okay? We can play the entire Winston Churchill sound cut if you want for after the fall of France, after Dunkirk, when he talked about fighting them on the beaches and in the hills. And if the British Empire should last for 1,000 years, they will say, this was their finest hour. All right. We've got all kinds of stuff to get to here today. 844-500-4242. This is, I want to go with something that this was discovered by a reporter. The State Department has a website, and they obviously, and they put on it some of the findings that they have when they go to foreign countries to discuss elections or to investigate what's going on in elections. So in 2004, they had an election in Ukraine. Okay. And according to the State Department's own website, here are some of the illegalities that led the State Department to declare that the Ukrainian election in 2004 was stolen. Illegal use of absentee ballots. Check. Opposition observers ejected. Certainly, at least in 2 states, right? In Michigan and Pennsylvania. North Korean style turnout in the east, meaning the east of Ukraine. But how about North Korean style turnout in southern Wisconsin? How about North Korean style turnout in Philadelphia? Mobile ballot box fraud. Does that ring a bell? The Biden-Harris bus in Nevada, where they were marking mail-in ballots and then putting them back in the envelopes and putting them back in the bus that had Harris Biden on it. Computer data allegedly altered. Did somebody say glitch? Oh, I guess they had some glitches in Ukraine back 16 years ago. The only thing we don't have a similarity, reports of opposition fraud. There are no reports of opposition fraud, the Republicans being the opposition. 844-500-4242. 919. But Senator Burr's seat is up in 2 years, and we'll probably lose that one. You have to take it one day at a time here. Richard Burr sucks, by the way. He's from Winston-Salem. He's the one who's been on the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's played footsie with Mark Warner from Virginia in keeping the deep state going. He's terrible. I'm glad Burr is going, and maybe we can get somebody decent to run. You know who we can get to run against or for that Senate seat that Burr is giving up? How about that guy Mark Robinson, the new black lieutenant governor of North Carolina, who railed against the attempts of the Greensboro City Council to take away his Second Amendment rights, and now he's been elected lieutenant governor of the state of North Carolina. I would say Robinson is a logical candidate. Don't worry about 2022. Let's worry about 2020 right now. Okay. 844-500-4242. Today back home in Massachusetts, it's 76 degrees, but next Tuesday, the high is supposed to be 46. That's New England for you. If you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, as Mark Twain used to say. The temperature can plunge overnight. Winter is coming, and with that comes cold weather and high heating bills. But I found something that can help. My friends at Eden Pure have a new portable infrared heater that lets you turn down the thermostat but keeps your family warm and comfortable all winter. I'm holding it right now. So you can see it on the social cam. It's a great product. It's called the Eden Pure Gen 40 heater, and it cuts your heating bill, saving you money every month. Its dual hybrid technology heats a room evenly, top to bottom, in a matter of minutes. But incredibly, it's safe around children and pets. The Eden Pure Gen 40 makes you feel warmer than your furnace, and it also costs less to run, saving you money every month. You have nothing to lose here. Look at how stylish it is, too.
Howie, as you know, I stole yours from your office to use at home, and since it's been warmer, I haven't been using it as much in the bedroom. However, I've found other applications for it. I've been refinishing a lot of the doors in my house, and I do that out in the garage, which gets cool at night. And since I'm storing the doors out there, I don't want the temperature of the wood to get down too low so I can't work on them the next day. So I keep the garage heated with the Gen 40 heater, and it works great.
And it's not like the old style space heaters where you always had to worry about something catching fire, because the heat was so high and so direct. There's none of that with the Eden Pure. It's totally safe, and it's not that difficult to. It doesn't take up that much energy to run. You have nothing to lose here. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $25 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $25 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul, but we can't get enough of his gaffes. Here's the best of Uncle Joe's speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts. When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Okay, all right. Look, well, you can frack with me later, okay? The teachers are I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me get over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually. Want to let some callers in?
This is Mark in Williston, Vermont.
This is Marie in Somerville, Massachusetts.
This is Mike from South Attleboro, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company that I trust. Give them a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. Taylor, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far? It'd probably take a while to set up the poll question, though, right?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, I mean, we're going to need to play some sound cuts here, aren't we?
I see. Yeah. Yes. So which MSNBC personality is having the worst day? We've got Ken Delanian, Joy Reid, and John Meacham.
Okay, so John Meacham is the one who he's a historian, you know. And he would go on and talk about how great the Democrats are and how bad the Republicans are. And you had to believe him because he was a historian. And so then they started having him critique Joe Biden's speeches. And he'd say he would obviously say that they were all fantastic. They put the Gettysburg Address in the outhouse, you know. They put the Sermon on the Mount on the outhouse. He was the best speeches ever made. Winston Churchill, nothing compared to Joe Biden. Then it now has turned out, guess who was writing the speeches? John Meacham. John Meacham. He's been fired. He can still come on, but he's not getting a paycheck anymore. And then we have Joy Reid. Why don't we read do you have the Joy Reid? I don't
have it in front of me.
No, I can sum it up. She said that 538, she was talking about 538 and what 538 means. And she thinks that 538 is not a reference to the number of electors in the Electoral College, the number of votes. She said, I got it right here. Here's the thing. There's a reason. The reason there's a thing called at 538 is because 538 was the margin in Florida. No, it wasn't. It was 537. When the Republican SCOTUS reversed the 2000 election, they didn't reverse it. They just stopped the counting during a recount, making a W the president. That's the kind of margin where races can flip. That's not what's up now. So she knows nothing about the 2000 election. She knows nothing about the Electoral College. She knows nothing about what the Supreme Court did. And then finally, we have the third one is a guy named Ken Delanian. He's an Obama hack who now works for NBC News. We have his cut, actually.
Has some new reporting on something that we talked about at the top of the hour, how the Trump administration is handling the transition with the incoming Biden team, or not handling it, we should say, to a certain extent. This time, it involves our intelligence community. Ken, what have you learned, sir?
That's what he's learned.
Okay.
I'm voting for Joy Reid because she's the highest profile of those three fools.
Yeah, 70% say Joy Reid is having the worst day. 22% say John Meacham, obviously getting fired doesn't help. 9% say Ken Delanian. People don't take obscenities as seriously as they used to.
He's a clown, though. I mean, he's just like he's a hack to be named later. He's not a frontline hack. All right.
Howie, the amazing thing about these liberal blue check marks is that if you go on Joy Reid's page, there's a line from The Notebook where the guy tells the girl, you have a 2-second rebound rate until you're back to being a pain in the butt. And they have such a fast rebound rate from being completely dunked on by the entire internet to coming right back and calling everyone else stupid. She is already on there, espousing more wisdom about things. And she doesn't even take a minute to say, oh yeah, guys, sorry, that was kind of a dumb
How many
remark
times has she been burned by her own stupidity?
So many. Howie, trust me, I've made plenty of dumb remarks in my life, but before I tweet something out, I Google things because you can Google things. It's 2020.
Right. I know. She's been caught making racist slurs, homophobic slurs, anti-Islamic slurs, and now this just total ignorance. This was so ridiculous. She got slapped down by Jake Tapper.
By Jake Tapper. If anyone wants to see all the replies to this, you need to go to Tweetbeat. It's on the Howie Carr Show right now, HowieCarrShow.com. I'm amazed. And if you go to Jake Tapper's account, he said something dumb yesterday, and he's right back at it again. It's like nobody takes a mea culpa and takes a moment to go, wow, maybe I should cool my jets and read things before I tweet them.
Well, Andy Warhol used to say everybody was famous for 15 minutes. Now it's 15 seconds, Grace, So Ken Delanian is back doing whatever he was doing before. TK, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, TK.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
It's an honor. Good. Hey, a lot of people will know me as the Guru or also One Way. I used to be a naval air crewman way back in the 80s and 90s. Flew with a lot of great people. A lot of people I still, talk to here and there. And I know every single one of them are patriots.
So what's the point? Tell me the point, TK.
Well, we took a point to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I hope it doesn't come to that. I really hope it doesn't come to it. Love President Trump. Will do anything for the man, even at my old broken down age, whatever it takes.
Thank you, TK. I hope it's not going to come down to that. Just keep the faith and keep your friends up. Don't get depressed. Don't get down. You can't get pessimistic. Thank you, TK. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
I don't even know why you waste your time playing people like Joy Reid. Yeah, you know what? The best thing you can ever do for people like that, and what I've learned in my life, Howie, is ignore them. Don't give them don't even give them any kind of time. But reason I called, we all knew what was going to happen with these mail-in ballots, and if we couldn't do anything about the ballots, Howie, why didn't we install security cameras inside? Why didn't the federal government install security cameras inside and outside?
Elections are a state responsibility. I mean, if they'd gone into Philadelphia trying to install cameras, they would have just said this is I thought this guy believed in federalism. We thought he believed in the 10th Amendment. That's what they would have said. Arthur, I don't know what he could have done. No one has been able to tell me what they could have done to prevent this. They've just got to outlaw this kind of rampant use of mail-in ballots. France did away with mail-in ballots pretty much across the board. 1975. I'm Howie Carr.
The 2020 elections have the potential to shape the next decade financially. That's especially true if you're within 10 years of retirement. Is your plan ready? Find out with a portfolio stress test from Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates. Call 800-989-9100 for your no-cost, no-obligation analysis. Kevin can help uncover any hidden fees that may be lurking in your plan. team at Frisbee & Associates are up to date on all the latest rules and regulations, from what the Secure Act is and isn't to Social Security and Medicare. Let Kevin and the team give you peace of mind as you get near retirement. Make sure your plan is ready for whatever happens come November. It starts with a phone call to Frisbee & Associates, 800-989-9100. And be sure to catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday at 3:50 as he reviews the market. Call Kevin now at 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
Did you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not? What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
Hey, Howie.
Yes.
Did you see Cal Cunningham conceded?
Oh, we did. No, I mentioned that he had. Well, I didn't see that he is conceded. Let's we'll save that cut and we'll play it maybe in the 4:00 hour.
I don't have a cut of it yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Why should I think he had a cut? I don't think he's spoken in front of a camera or a microphone in weeks. That's good. I'm glad he has, though. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no,
Ignore me.
That's
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
Joe Biden doesn't have time for malarkey, and he also doesn't have a lot of time for geography. Take a listen.
The people of Nevada are watching, and I'm going to be out there seeing them very soon. Tonight, though, we just heard from the first 2 of 50 states. It's important that Iowa and Nevada have spoken, but look, we need to hear from Nevada and South Carolina and Super Tuesday states and beyond.
And Biden doesn't know the difference between Iran and Iraq. He's gotten it wrong 4 times.
We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. Excuse me. We tried in Ukraine.
He always gets the name wrong.
I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. This is sort of a scenic, beautiful town. I like Keene a lot.
How many times has he missed it? He's in Iowa. It's great to be in the great state of Ohio. And they say, Joe, you're in Iowa.
How many unsafe bridges you still have here in the state of Iowa? And I was just in Ohio because they have more.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Cal Cunningham has just conceded to Tom Tillis in North Carolina. It's just posted up on the North Carolina websites. Of course, he didn't step forward and say anything and get in front of a camera. I don't think he's been in front of a camera for weeks. I don't think he's spoken into a microphone. He's been running away from reporters in the last couple of weeks of the campaign. National File broke that story about his girlfriends, not the Washington Post, not the New York Times, not the News and Observer or the Charlotte Observer. The National File had to break the story, and this is a race that the Republicans shouldn't have won. I mean,
Heinsohn.
They were behind. They were behind by 10 points not that long ago. Joining us now on the line is Harmeet K. Dillon, and she is from California. She's a national committee woman of the RNC for the Golden State, and she's also the co-chair of Lawyers for Trump. And Harmeet, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Yes, happy to be here with you today.
What's the status of all these challenges? Does it look like we're going to get some of these cases at least to the Supreme Court?
Only one of these cases is currently pending before the Supreme Court, and I'm not going to tell your listeners that there'll be more because the Supreme Court case right now is over the federal constitutionality of a non-legislative official in the state changing the election rules. So that's a big issue that affects a lot of states. I don't know that some of these other issues involving, state law issues are going to necessarily reach the Supreme Court.
So you're talking about Pennsylvania then, correct?
That's right, exactly. And that has gone up to the court a couple of times. The last time it went up, it was deadlocked 4-4. And, our latest justice did not participate. So it's really a pretty clear and established issue in the law that only a state legislature can set or change election laws in a state, not the state Supreme Court, not the Secretary of State, not the governor. I have filed a lawsuit over this very issue in California where our governor under COVID attempted to change our election rules and the governor immediately caved in. He asked the legislature to pass those laws, and because he has a Democrat legislature, that's what happened. But in Pennsylvania, you have top elected officials who are Democrats, but you have a Republican legislature, and the Republicans get the last word under our constitutional scheme.
Right. What exactly is the remedy though for this? I mean, we've heard these stories about what's going on in Philadelphia, where they knew that they were bringing in illegal ballots apparently, so they mingle them with the legitimate ballots. So how do you separate this thing out? Or again, what is the remedy, Harmeet?
Well, the remedy could be, first of all, we don't know whether these were mingled per se and to what degree. Some of them may have been, some of them may not have been. But what we do need to do is go back and track what record keeping they have, and if possible, segregate things out, do a manual recount, and see what can be done. It's possible that some of the evidence has been destroyed. That's quite possible. I'm not going to say that on the air. I don't know that. But that's why we need transparency. And the fact that Pennsylvania's officials have defended the fact that Philadelphia poll workers have excluded Republicans is shocking. And in the law, when somebody attempts to cover up or destroy evidence, courts will instruct the jury that the hidden or destroyed evidence should be construed against the person who allegedly covered it up. So there's a presumption of guilt there when you try to conceal something. I mean, just today, Corey Lewandowski just tweeted out a photograph of his name and the names of numerous other Republican poll watchers on a do not admit list there in Philadelphia. So that's bad. And I don't know, I'm not going to just speculate as to what happened, but I can speculate as to why. Philadelphia is a hotbed of election fraud over the years, not just in this election, but in others. And, we have seen this in Chicago. We've seen this in Detroit. We've seen it in Milwaukee. We've seen it in cities that are controlled by Democrats, that are controlled by unions. And they do it time and again. This is not something new they made up for this election.
Right. And now, as you said, it's ultimately up to the Republicans in most of these states in the legislatures to make a decision, because they have to ratify or reject the slates of electors that will actually vote in the Electoral College on December 14th. You're involved with the National Party as not just with Lawyers for Trump, but also as a national committee woman. What are the odds that these legislatures are going to step forward and do what you and I would consider the right thing and reject these tainted Democrat slates and install Republican slates to vote for Donald Trump?
Look, I think it is premature to say that. I mean, that may not be the answer that is wanted, but it would be premature for a legislature to conclude now on the basis of lawsuits that are ongoing, evidence that is not available, that they should reject the certified election results. The election results have not yet been certified in any of these states. And it would be extremely rare and unusual for even a Republican legislature to say we're going to ignore the will of the voters in our state, which is certified by some process, despite lawsuits and everything, and substitute our own judgment, because those legislators would get voted out of office. I mean, that's the checks and balances there. So if it is clear that the election results are rogue and in defiance of clear evidence on the other side, you might see that. But we've had a lot of very close elections in our country, and we've yet to see that happen in modern times. So, I would not pin our hopes on that happening. I think the election needs to be won in the vote counting, and if necessary, in the courts regarding whose ballots should be counted. Should ballots be counted if you moved out of state? That's an issue in Nevada of almost 10,000 voters. I think we can all agree that dead people should not be allowed to vote. There is evidence. I have personally seen evidence being tabulated of numerous deceased elderly who cast ballots in this election. But that's not 10,000 or 100,000. That is dozens or hundreds. Okay. So, the big numbers are going to come in, sort of these election irregularities, recounting ballots that were not counted by humans or that were not witnessed by both sides. That could result in a swing of 1% to 2% in mail-in ballots. And if that's the case, that could sway the outcome. I'll give you one example. In Pennsylvania, in the past election cycle, I think it was something like 3% of the mail-in ballots were thrown out because of irregularities. In other parts of the country, it's as much as 10%. In New York in the summer, it was 21% in the primary of mail ballots being tossed out because of irregularities, no signature dates, etc. In the Pennsylvania election just now, 0.3% of the mail ballots were tossed out. What does that mean? That is over 100 times fewer than in the last election. So that is not an accident. That is somebody changing the rules and changing the guidelines. That needs to be investigated, because changing that back to the normal error rate and quality rate would mean the difference in this election, potentially. So those are the types of big statistical / systematic issues that need to be found and prevailed on for the vote to be tabulated and called in favor of President Trump in at least Pennsylvania and a couple of other states. Now, I don't want people to give up hope. They're still counting the ballots in Arizona, and the trend is for President Trump. We have an automatic recount in Georgia. The automatic recount may turn up some of these irregularities.
Right.
And we have fraud, actual fraud by postal workers and others that has been testified to in a couple of states. So we have to get to the bottom of these things.
And we have glitches. We have quote unquote glitches, right, in Michigan and Wisconsin.
Glitches. We have so-called glitches, and that same software is used in multiple states. So that's concerning. So we really need to get to the bottom of that before we can certify the results of this election. I want the American people to have confidence in this either way. So we really need to not short circuit that process.
I just got a text, Harmeet, and someone says the Democrats showed us what they were going to do in California in 2018 with all this ballot harvesting. So how have they been allowed to do this again? And they did it again in some parts of California. I read about it at a Korean a home, an old folks home. The woman was grabbed 135 ballots or something like that. What happened? Why wasn't something done between 2018 and 2020?
That's a good question for the Department of Justice and Republicans in the House in 2016 to 2018 who didn't carry legislation on this. Yes, Republicans in California have absolutely been screaming to high heaven about this and warning. I can tell you at the RNC, both myself and the National Committee man have warned about this and told people it's coming to a state near you. And look, let's just say we need to clean house with a lot of our Republicans in our establishment as well. I don't think that those warnings were taken seriously enough. And we have a lot of Republicans in our Congress who just pontificate for the cameras and then continue taking money from the same places as the Democrats do. So they like the status quo. And unfortunately, this is very bad news. if ballot harvesting en masse is allowed, if mail-in voting is allowed en masse, if Republicans are allowed to be excluded from witnessing the counting of ballots, and that's okay, and if Democrat judges and secretaries of state and attorneys general can change the laws that Republicans pass, we'll never win an election again. So we have to take this seriously.
Now, let me ask you about the congressional races in California. You guys apparently won back some of the seats you lost in 2018. Is that correct?
We got one at least. Michelle Steele has been declared the victor, and Harley Ruda, her opponent, first-term opponent, has conceded. So Michelle is a great friend of mine, and her husband is the national committee man from California, Sean. And so that's a huge victory for us. We are still waiting for the results in the other case in Orange County of Young Kim. Darrell Issa has held Duncan Hunter's seat against a strong Democratic challenger. And we are still waiting for the results in David Valadao versus TJ Cox, which is one of those seats where we lost it in 2018, and we hope to get it back. And we held another seat. Jay Obernolte was just, declared the new congressman from the Inland Empire. And so overall, I would say the Republicans in California were looking pretty good for those races.
How'd Garcia do?
Garcia's race is still being counted, and he's currently under, but the vote is still being tabulated.
I don't trust those long counts anywhere, not just in California, but anywhere. That guy
it's built in California. This is one of the problems. We have a 17-day period in California, that is where the Constitution really has to come into play, and Congress can pass a law. We don't have election month or election 6 weeks in this country. We have election day. And to allow ballots to trickle in for 17 days is ludicrous. It's banana republic stuff.
Yeah, that guy Ruda, he's the one who was demanding that everybody wear masks and social distance, and then he was caught at a beach just messing around and having a good time, pretending like there wasn't showing his real belief that there was no problem. Isn't that the guy?
That is correct. He's already announced his election for his campaign for 2022. So, look, we lost that seat because of huge money the Democrats poured into it. And Republicans made some mistakes in 2018. We spent a bunch of money on races like Barbara Comstock's race in Virginia, she's never going to win it. And we did that at the expense of Republican races that we could have won. So I hope we're smarter in the 2022 election cycle and targeting races.
Harmeet Dillon, we really appreciate you being with us, taking time out from your busy schedule. We're on your side. Obviously, we're all rooting for victory for the president, and hope we can overturn this abomination of an election. But thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. That's Harmeet K. Dillon, the National Committee woman for California, Republican, and she's co-chair of Lawyers for Trump. Never in the history of real estate have government-issued moratoriums against property owners been so widespread, including the latest from Charlie Parker's administration. Don't wait for the value of your property to sink lower. For over 40 years, J.J. Manning has been the leading auction house in New England. From rural farms, country clubs, estates, and historic office buildings throughout New England, J.J. Manning can get your property sold fast and with no contingencies. There is a big reason why banker and tradesmen have voted J.J. Manning #1 for 7 consecutive years in a row. They have the buyers and they pay cash. When you sell with a real estate broker, you have to pay commission, but with an auction, the buyer pays. These are treacherous times in the real estate market. Commercial property is dicey. Residential property in some places is through the roof, and in other places, not so much. You really have to be careful, or you'll be caught flat-footed in this kind of a market. To learn more on how to get your property sold fast, contact Charlie Gill at jjmanning.com. With over 16,000 sales and satisfied clients, you can be the next one. Call them today at 800-521-0111 or go to jjmanning.com and get your property sold. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone, Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Villa in Wayland, celebrating over 70 years in business. From my favorite, veal parm, to their seafood dinners, the Villa has all your home-cooked favorites. Who loves you, baby? The Villa, that's who.
President Trump's life has changed a lot in the last couple of years, but one thing that remains consistent, his love for for a good nickname.
What happened to Mini Mike? Where's he? Mini Mike, I've had him up to here. Sleepy Joe has no idea what he's even talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage, please. I don't think the guy's got a chance. Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's got it. I don't know. I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. Crying Chuck. I don't want to say Crazy Nancy because if I say that, you're going to say it's a copy of Crazy Bernie, and that's no good. Who that judge? Alfred E. Newman. You know, I thought Pocahontas was gone, left in embers. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Did you ever hear Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. Got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. But Nancy Pelosi, I call her Nervous Nancy. Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton said to Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary, do you think he calls her Crooked Hillary, Mike?
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings of Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy doo on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is The Howie Carr Show.
Sad news from the world of sports. Tommy Heinsohn is dead at the age of 86. Great basketball player, first for Holy Cross, then for the Celtics. Then he was the coach of the Celtics during the great years in the 70s. And then he became a broadcaster. He was a fantastic broadcaster as well. And I knew him a little bit. He was a listener. I liked following his career, but I even hate more losing a listener, any listener. But Tommy Heinsohn is not coming down for breakfast, and he's at the age of 86. He has died. 844-500-4242. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Howie, how you doing, Bill?
Good.
Hey, the ballot, first off, has multiple questions on it. So we can't just single out Biden and Trump. I'm questioning all of the questions on that ballot.
What are you talking about? You're talking about the referendum questions, you mean?
Yeah. Did Markey actually win? Did 1 and question 2 pass?
they, one won as was expected to win at question 1. And then question 2, there was some question about whether it was going to be passed or not, since the other side was spending so much money, but it ended up the no votes. For once, the people of Massachusetts showed some sense. And I mean, I like Kevin O'Connor. He did the best job he could. But do you really have any doubt that Markey won?
Well, I don't know. To see that this guy, I mean, I haven't heard his name in 10 years. How could he? Like anything else. But I think it's time to change the MAGA hat, the MATA hat. Make America Trump again.
That's not bad, John. That's not bad at all. Make America Trump again. Thanks for the call. Mary Elizabeth, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mary Elizabeth.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
So I found it very interesting. I live outside of Boston, and I went to vote this year, and I've been voting for, 40 years. And about 40 years ago, the registry spelt my name incorrectly. They left the H off of Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. And so when I went in to vote this time, I looked down and they actually had both of my names on there.
Oh, wow.
Spelled, yes, one with the H and one without. Yeah. Now, I looked down very quickly and the lady said, "Oh, we have you twice." And I said, "I see that. Why?" And she looked at me, and the poor thing was like a deer in the headlight. And she's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, we need to get somebody over here to figure out what's going on." Mary
Elizabeth, I'm glad you called, because there's stories today. We're trying to get Michelle Malkin to talk about this, but apparently one of the scams that supposedly they were working, the Democrats, is they were getting women to re-register in their maiden names so that they could vote twice for Biden. So, in your case, it may have been a mistake, but in other cases, it may have been a deliberate move by Democrats to grab extra votes here and there. Thanks for the call, Mary Elizabeth. Mike, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mike, quickly.
Hello, Howie. How you doing?
Good.
Howie, I sent you off a video clip. I'm not sure exactly the best way to reach you, but it was through Messenger for your Facebook for the Howie Carr Show, and it's a video clip, and it's very official. It shows a poll taker there with the vest and the ID badge ripping up the booth, and I was hopeful that you could view it, maybe get it to Corey Lewandowski.
We'll see if we can find it, and I'll take a look at it. Thanks for sending it, though, Mike. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
Something amazing happens when you reach a ripe old age like we here at Matthews Brothers have. People make up multisyllabic, hard-to-pronounce words to describe you. Words like sesquicentenarian. More amazing yet, some people even try to sing it.
Matthews Brothers is a sesquicentenarian.
That means we're really old,
but we're still flexing.
We've got a website. It's wicked awesome.
We're on the Facebook.
Just like your Grammy.
Won't you please friend us? We also tweet.
Look for our stuff at
Better Lumberyard
or at Window Pros.
And remember, Matthews has just one T.
Even after 166 years of making wicked awesome windows and doors, we're still setting records. And for that, we say thank you.
Matthews Brothers, Matthews with one T. America's oldest window manufacturer.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
The Democrat Party is so full of loony social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, but sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Maisie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham. Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. I think the noose is closing, and, Giuliani is like a loose cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte because after the O'Bar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach, with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with an off. He was just there, as the Michelle Cassone, Patches Date said. He was just there, without trousers, or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Mike Bloomberg is spending millions of dollars on all of his campaign ads, but we put together some of our favorite Bloomberg clips, and guess what, Mike? This one's totally free.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little. To be a farmer, it's a process. So you dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could learn that. Donald Trump is the world's biggest schoolyard bully. Big gay ice cream is the best. The Communist Party wants to stay in power in China, and they listen to the public. When the public says I can't breathe the air, Xi Jinping is not a dictator. He has to satisfy his constituents or he's not going to survive.
He's not a dictator?
No, he has a constituency to answer to. I'm ready to get to work, so let's get it on. I would be 79 years old when I took office. To start a 4-year job, maybe an 8-year job at age 79 may not be the smartest thing to do.
Why did you say what you said in that 2015 speech?
Eden Pure will continue their buy one, get one free promotion for the Thunderstorm air purification system all week long. Eden Pure is able to do this due to the huge success from the Howie Carr Show listeners. The response has been tremendous, and Eden Pure is passing on those savings to the listeners. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand and plug into the wall. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm works like a real thunderstorm. It quietly sends out super oxygen and ions to kill odors in your room. Over the weekend, I saw my daughter Carolyn, and she asked if she could have one for her basement in her new home. She asked if it really works, and I said, of course it does. You won't believe it. If you've bought one for your home and enjoy the big difference in smell, take advantage of the BOGO offer now and buy one for a family member like I'm going to do for Carolyn. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieBOGO. That's EdenPure.com. And with code word HowieBOGO, shipping is free. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame, except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks to Operation Warp Speed, we've actually guaranteed receipt of FDA authorized vaccine from Pfizer, 100 million doses that we purchased.
We may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December. We would be giving vaccine to people very likely before the end of this year.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
The good news is the Pfizer tests look good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan.
You're being negative Nancy. Stop it. Okay? Unless you want everyone to call you negative Nancy from now on.
I've been talking to governors across the nation about that. How can we shape the Trump administration vaccine plan to fix it or stop it?
That's the evilest thing I can imagine. Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Attorney General Bill Barr says federal prosecutors are authorized to investigate allegations of voter fraud.
This memo comes out authorizing federal prosecutors to look into substantial allegations of voting irregularities if there is clear and apparently credible, allegations of irregularities.
You mean like this?
Kirk Hartle said he was surprised when he found out his wife had sent in a mail-in ballot.
I was surprised because she passed away 3 years ago.
Clark County officials say Rosemary's signature is a match to what's on their records.
We're now finding that 25,000 nursing home residents in different nursing homes requested mail-in ballots at the exact same time.
Very interesting. Unchained and unstoppable.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. I am not Neil Cavuto, and if you're a new viewer at the Newsmax this afternoon, thank you for joining us, and I think you'll find our show, our network, to your liking. Thank you. You can call us if you want to be on the show at 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Just heard Lindsey Graham saying last night that there in Pennsylvania, there were potentially 25,000 nursing home residents in different nursing homes who all requested mail-in ballots at exactly the same time. 25,000. What a coincidence. Ballot harvesting is illegal in Pennsylvania, as it should be everywhere in the United States, but it's definitely illegal in Pennsylvania. So the challenges continue. Do not lose faith. Do not lose confidence in the ability of President Donald Trump to prevail. You just heard Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State. He was asked about a transition, and he said, yeah, we're going to have a transition to a second term.
Yes. Inject that sound cut into my veins. I love it.
Yes.
That is the spirit we need right now. Sick of everyone being so doom and gloom.
Not everyone's doom and gloom, Grace, but it's just
the way you just said that, Howie. That sentence was doom and gloom. Not everyone's doom and gloom, Grace.
I just like to keep my mind on positive thoughts. PMA. I learned that in college. Positive mental attitude.
Oh, I like that. By the way, PMA, if you guys are looking for some PMA, you should go to howiecarrshow.com and check out TweetBeat, because I just posted it. Posted it a little bit late today, Howie, because there was so much. And I say this in TweetBeat, but usually I don't get all of my content for the day from one network. It usually gets kind of spread out. But damn, MSNBC is on a roll today. Record day for them. Between John Meacham getting the boot.
He was writing Joe Biden's speeches and then complimenting Joe Biden on what great speeches he was writing.
It's just
how MSNBC is it? Very much so.
The level of, obnoxiousness is just, it's appalling. And then, of course, Joy Reid, Howie read you her tweet in the first hour. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out. And also, lastly, was the sound cut that we have from Ken Delanian, who had a little bit of a hot mic moment. You can play it.
Some new reporting on something that we talked about at the top of the hour, how the Trump administration is handling the transition with the incoming Biden team, or not handling it, we should say, to a certain extent. This time, it involves our intelligence community. Ken, what have you learned, sir?
So it's about what he usually learns.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's there's been a lot of hot mics lately, Howie, and I'm surprised, because you'd think all these experts and analysts and stuff, they'd be used to having a mic in front of them. And I've only been doing this a little while, Howie, but you told me right from the beginning, if the mic's in front of you, you don't curse, you don't say anything that you wouldn't want kind of going out to the air. But yesterday, Sandra Smith from Fox had a hot mic moment. And then today we have Ken Delanian. So very strange. But also, how I wanted to mention a new talking point that is going on right now on CNN is that they're keeping a list. Okay. This is not the accountability list of Trump supporters that the left wants to blackball. This is GOP senators who haven't congratulated Biden. But because that matters.
But the election's not over, you see. Oh, so now who has congratulated him? Mitt Romney has congratulated him, right? Who else? Susan Collins?
Yeah.
Go out on a limb.
I think she has.
Who else?
Susan Collins. Well, I only have the list of people who haven't.
You know what, Grace, I prefer to congratulate, I'm not a senator, but I prefer to congratulate Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina. His creepy, pervy opponent, Cal Cunningham, conceded about an hour ago. So congratulations to Tom Tillis.
Amen.
And don't rush, Senator, don't feel there's any rush to congratulate Joe Biden. The Electoral College doesn't vote for more than a month.
And you know what, Howie? Someone tweeted the other day, and I thought this was a really good point. They said, if they were so confident that Joe Biden won this and that, there's no funny business going on, what is with this overbearing push that we all accept this so fast? Do you know what I'm saying? It's this rush of, if you don't accept it, and even Charlie Baker, and I know we're on Newsmax right now, so some people might not know who that is. You might know him as Charlie Parker, because that's what Joe Biden referred to him as. Charlie Baker is our governor here in Massachusetts. And he came out today and said the same thing, that this was bad, that Trump should not be, fighting this. And Howie, the real kicker was, he said he's been a Republican for 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Colin Powell has been a Republican, and Jennifer Rubin and Bill Kristol and Mike Murphy. And who was
and Max Boot?
And Max Boot. And who's credulous Boomer Rube? I always forget his name.
Oh,
yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Rick Wilson.
Rick Wilson. Yeah,
yes.
Those are the kind of Republicans. Oh, and did you notice today, Dan Quayle, J. Danforth Quayle, whose chief of staff, incidentally, was Bill Kristol. He called on Trump to concede the election. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for stabbing a real Republican in the back.
Oh, by the way,
and how do you spell potato, Mr. Vice President?
By the way, Howie, speaking of rhinos, the Lincoln Project tweeted out today, defend your democracy, okay? 1, create a LinkedIn account. 2, message someone who works at Jones Day or Porter Wright. Those are the law firms that are helping Donald Trump. 3, ask them how they work for an organization trying to overturn the will of the American people. Now, this is kind of that when they say unity, what they really mean is we're going to take power over and we're going to blackball you guys. We're going to threaten you if we don't like what you're doing. And it's really scary, Howie, because this is not the first, bout of this, but it's been happening a lot where people are tweeting stuff like we have to keep track of all of these Trump people so that they can't get jobs anymore. And I thought,
are you surprised, Grace?
I'm not surprised, but I am kind of amazed at how not subtle
you
the
remember,
Democrats are.
And here's the thing, because all the people that are doing this, they all went to college and they took courses in the McCarthy era in American politics, where they had a blacklist for screenwriters, actors in Hollywood, and if you were labeled by the House Un-American Activities Committee or one of those related organizations, you would be blacklisted from working in showbiz in Hollywood. The thing is, though, Grace, that all you had to do basically was change your name. You just write, if you couldn't act, obviously, a little bit, or you had to act at smaller parts. But if you were a screenwriter, you just had to change your name and you could still put in the scripts, because no one really cared about it. But these people really care. They really want to hurt people who were for Donald Trump. And this whole thing, this is a crazy story in the New York Times today. Growing discomfort at law firms representing Trump in election lawsuits. These are two big white shoe law firms in Manhattan. And some lawyers at Jones Day and Porter Wright said they are worried about undermining the electoral system by working for Donald Trump. This is his own lawyers. He's paying for these lawyers to represent him. And whatever happened to the attorney-client privilege, they're going around and whispering to the New York Times, we don't like this guy. We want him out just as much as you do.
Right.
What kind of people, forget lawyers, what kind of people are these?
And you know what it is, Howie? It speaks to the bigger issue of cancel culture and this dox mentality, where if we don't like someone, we have to dox them, we have to ruin their lives. And there were 2 examples of this in the last couple of days in Hollywood. And I know normally Howie doesn't let me really talk too much about celebs here. That's when he cuts my feed. But I do want to give these 2, okay? Katy Perry tweeted something. She said, the first thing I did after the election was call my family who are Trump supporters and, tell them I love them and, call your families and, a nice message. Nothing bad. I think she has a lot of family who likes Donald Trump. And she was just saying she supports Joe Biden, but she called them and, wished them well, whatever. People got mad. How dare you? They Greta Thunberged her. How dare Katy Perry suggest being friendly with her family if they voted for Donald Trump? And then an even more hilarious one was Eva Longoria, who's one of the Democrats' favorite celebrities. Right. She made a comment saying that Latino women were the real heroines of this election because of, how much they came out to vote. She's now canceled because people felt that she was comparing them to Black women and saying they did a better job in the election than Black women did.
Grace, I think maybe in addition to giving a pass to Fox News or the daily consumption thereof, maybe you should consume less tweets, fewer tweets every day.
Howie, can I tell you something right now? If I could consume fewer tweets, I would.
You're
But it is
addicted, aren't you?
It is my job for the American people to deliver this.
Isn't there a 12-step program available to those who are addicted to Twitter?
Howie, I don't want to say I'm a hero, okay? I don't want to be like Jim Acosta and say, Dear Diary, I'm a hero, but I read these tweets so that you guys don't have to. That's all I'm going to say.
You know what they say at the meetings, Grace? One tweet is too many.
One tweet
1,000 are not enough.
It is so true. It's like wheat thins. I can't get enough. By the way, guys, this segment is brought to you by Tux Trucks. I know it's beautiful out right now. Trust me, I know it is going to get cold and it's going to come fast. The snow is going to be here. We've had our first taste of snow. More will come. Check out Tux Trucks. They sell, they install, they service everything Fisher has to offer. They are the best in the business. Tux Trucks GMC. They also have GMC trucks, Howie, on the lot, set up with a new Fisher plow and ready for you to put in your driveway. So if you're not interested and you just want to buy the whole thing at once, that is the deal for you. Check out tuxtrucksgmc.com and get a Fisher or call 1-800-MY-TRUCK. By the way, Howie, when we get back, we have a tough guy in the news. Do you want to guess who it is before we go to break?
Danny Deutsch?
No, it's Donnie Deutsch, Howie. No.
Whatever the hell his name is.
And no, it's not. That was a very good guess.
All right. Well, I'll wait. I'll be in suspense. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you today in part by Old New England Soap. Try the new Woodwick soy candles that burn for up to 100 hours. They're a great scents that will make your home smell fantastic. Visit oldnesoap.com. If you don't want to replace your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. Genesis 950 was my go-to product for Mr. Gooner. The reviews are amazing as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains so they are gone for good. Its antibacterial component removes pet owners from carpet and padding. Genesis 950 can be used in a carpet cleaning machine. Genesis 950 is made in America. It is a concentrate, so 1 gallon makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. I brought it to Carolyn's new home, and she couldn't believe the results. Use it in bathrooms, kitchens, floors, and for grease stains. It is great for degreasing engines, wheels, and tires. Consider trying Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. It is green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 has great customer service if you need to contact them. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com, and you will receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and discount using code Howie. That's genesis950.com. genesis950.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy now.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much. But no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word? Poop. Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Truckstown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company that I trust. Give them a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which MSNBC personality, or I guess former MSNBC personality, is having the worst day? Ken Delanian, Joy Reid, or John Meacham, who is now a former personality on MSNBC?
He can still come on for the donut, but he's not going to get paid anymore. I'm going to say Joy Reid.
68% say Joy Reid.
I'm going to say John Meacham, Howie. That'd be like you giving a review of your book and not telling people it was your book. Have you heard of that Kennedy Babylon 1 and 2? They're amazing. Best thing I've ever seen. That's the best book I've ever read.
They are. And if you can get them at HowieCarrShow.com, click on store. HowieCarrShow.com, click on store.
I'm sure each one of them are saying, well, at least I didn't pull a Tubin.
Yeah, I think everybody's happy on MSNBC that they didn't pull a Tubin. And Tubin isn't back yet either. Everybody thought he'd be back soon after, just because he, splashed his what all over the conference call.
Well, the thing is, that conference call was a mock setup of what election night will be. They called it an election simulation. And I have to say, as disappointed as some of us might be about how the election night went, at least it didn't go the way Jeffrey Toobin was simulating that it would. Because that would have been terrible, turning on your TV and seeing that.
Yes, it would have been.
So that's a silver lining.
Who's the tough guy? Who's the tough guy, Grace?
All right, the tough guy, Howard, is Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, yes.
He said, if I wasn't governor of New York, I would have decked President Trump.
Not for nothing.
I bit my tongue so many times, I have tongue scars. Here's the trick, Howard. He was on with Howard Stern, by the way. Here's the trick, Howard. I want to speak to the better angels. I want to lift people up, and I want to show Trump for what he is by opposition. He goes on to say, oh, by the way, he defended his little brother Fredo and said that people should not call him Fredo because it's
too accurate.
No,
it hurts his feelings.
It's part of the mafia stereotype.
Oh, stop it.
Well, you asked, brother. You asked. Howie, and I'm not even going to get you going on the Cuomo Bridge, okay? Because that will get you then you'll turn into a fake tough guy.
It's the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Right. Oh, by the way, so a lot of people have been worried because Joe Biden is, he's president-elect. I'm using air quotes here.
He's president-select.
I don't believe it. You don't believe it. But don't worry, because Joe Manchin is going to stop Democrats from court packing and ending the filibuster. So, Howie, everyone can take a deep breath. Joe Manchin is going to stop all this nonsense.
He's always there when you don't need him, Joe Manchin. That's the kind of guy he is. From West Virginia, I'm Howie Carr. Our listeners love the Thunderstorm air purifier, and the reviews are in. Lisa wrote, "The Thunderstorm is everything Howie Carr claimed it would be. I have 3 dogs and 3 birds, but you wouldn't know it now." Another stated, "The Thunderstorm exceeded my expectations. It will be even more handy when winter arrives and we cannot open the window. Winter is coming, so plan now." Eden Pure will continue their buy one, get one promotion for the Thunderstorm air purification system. Eden Pure is able to do this due to the huge response from the Howie Carr Show listeners. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand and plug into the wall to purify the air from any odor. It could be pet odor, tobacco odor, kitchen smells, or that damp smell that you may have in your basement. I've seen large air purification systems that cost $1,000 that take up a lot of space. The Thunderstorm is below $100 and doesn't take up any room. Take advantage of the BOGO offer now and experience yourself what all the listeners and viewers are raving about. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. That's EdenPure.com Howie BOGO. Shipping is free. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
You've been here.
Hey, Howie.
Yes.
What did you want Michelle Malkin on for?
Maiden Gate.
Maiden.
I get up even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
Are you aware that the Episcopal Archbishop of Washington and the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church nationally all denounced this police assault on the civil rights and civil liberties of the people?
Did they do that before or after the fire was put out?
Do you want to rephrase what you're doing? Because I think the word spying could cause everybody in the cable news ecosystem to freak out.
I'm not sure of all the connotations of that word that you're referring to, but unauthorized surveillance.
Okay, thank you.
Is that more appropriate in your mind?
This is your call. I really did want to give you a chance to say it how you wanted to say it and make sure that you didn't misspeak.
How can you sit here and tell us why should I investigate the president of the United States if you're not even aware?
Howie, just to confirm, it's pronounced
A reliable predicate before we open a criminal investigation.
Do you think that this body right here would rise up if they decided to go tonight and paint the Capitol building?
This body, I'm not sure.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We'll take some calls in a little bit, but wanted to talk briefly with a guy who's done a lot of good work, I think, during this whole campaign for Red State. And his name is Scott Heinsohn. And he's got a good column today, Excuse Me While I Call BS, in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a state that has not gotten as much publicity, but it's also in play, and it's also one of these states with a Republican controlled legislature that could reject the Democrat slate if it comes down to that. But it's very close in the results. Scott Heinsohn, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be here.
So you said in your column you still think that Trump can win with 285 to 295 electoral votes. Is that still operable as far as you're concerned?
Yes, I think that with the legal challenges that you're going to see in a lot of these states, there's a chance that Trump flips several of the states that are currently showing in the Biden column. These legal challenges are probably the most important part of the process. The fraud is secondary. Legal challenges regarding illegal voting or votes that don't match the state's legal requirements for a legal vote should be the first votes that are approached by the Trump campaign.
Now, what is the margin in Wisconsin right now? I saw something today, a tweet from Eric Trump, the president's son, and he said that some county down on the, I think the southeastern edge of the state had flipped 16,000 votes from Biden to Trump, one of those glitches that they always talk about. What is the status of Wisconsin right now?
So that glitch that I've heard about was reported by Gateway Pundit. So I don't know as far as the credibility aspect of whether or not that's going to occur. As of right now, it hasn't. But even with it not occurring, there's only a 20,000 vote margin in Biden's favor in that state. So it is a very, very lean margin. It's very small. And again, when we talk about the fact that if you flip a few counties in these areas where I've identified the potential for fraud or potential for malfeasance, that it suddenly becomes much more in Trump's favor.
So you're saying there's these 5 counties in Wisconsin that stand out, that the Biden turnout suddenly skyrocketed. All the counties surrounding these counties that suddenly became Biden strongholds, nothing's changed, or if anything, he lost ground from Clinton in 16 and Obama in 12, right? So which counties are these? Where are these counties, I should say?
So primarily these counties are in suburban counties around cities, or in what I call secondary mini metros. So not metro areas like Milwaukee, but something along the lines of like a Madison, along those lines. So I keep on saying that there's data that you can accept as realms of possibility of shifts or changes in vote between election cycles. If there were a 5 or 7% swing from Trump to Biden, or vice versa, I would look at that and go, that's possible. That's about the max that I'd accept. If there's an increase in turnout, anywhere between, I'd say 7 or 10%, maybe as much as 15 or 20 over the course of 2 election cycles, is acceptable, is something where you can say, I can see this occurring. When you start swinging out of these averages, then you start saying, well, something's going on. As far as counties in Wisconsin, Wisconsin counties, you're looking at the fact that without these 5 counties that I've analyzed, 8 Biden averaged a loss over Obama's 2012 turnout of 8.5% in these counties. Averaged that. Trump had a 30.31 over 2012% increase, so about a 15% a year increase. So again, you're talking about the average of without these 5 counties is not meeting 2012. Suddenly, in these 5 counties, you have a 15% increase over 2012, a 16% increase over 2012, a 20% increase over 2012, a 31% increase over 2012.
Why would you?
8.39% increase.
If there is fraud going on, why would you pick just 5 counties, and why would you pick them in fairly obscure areas of the state?
If suddenly they were dumping these ballots in out of one county, so for instance, if they were dumping this in Milwaukee County, in Wisconsin, we'd all see it. We'd go, wait, why are there 150 or 300,000 more ballots that got dumped in this one county? And we would start looking at that. Forensically speaking, it looks like they tried to quote unquote hide their efforts, and that shows that there's a reduction in these counties. So we've got to have this. You've got to look at this from the point of view of what's statistically plausible and what is completely out of the question. A 38% return above that of what Obama had in 2012 is in the realm of statistical improbability, if not impossibility.
Now, so what? You should tell people what's your background to do this kind of an analysis. And again, I thought you did a pretty good job throughout the entire fall campaign. But what's your background, Scott?
So I've done political campaigning for the last 10 years. I own a political consulting firm here in California. I've done political campaigns. This is my baby. So on nights when we'd have elections, leading up to elections, I would be data guy. That's exactly what I'd suggest. And I accurately predicted the outcome of the 2016 elections if you flipped Minnesota and Nevada. I had them flipped on my map. So essentially within 4 electoral votes, I've actually predicted the 2016 election. So again, this is not me tooting my horn here. This is simply me saying I have a pretty good idea of what the data looks like.
So
data is how my job operates.
Let's move on from Wisconsin. What states do you think that are in play? Do you think that President Trump has the best shot of pulling out?
So I did another piece this morning on Michigan, and I did find quite a bit of questionable data out of Michigan. But in Michigan, Biden has a 149,000 vote lead. I just don't find enough votes to be able to come back and say, here's institutionalized problems that we need to fix, and these ballots need to be flipped. I don't see it happening in Michigan. Where I do see it happening is in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. I believe that there are enough discrepancies and the vote is tight enough where they'll be able to, the discrepancies will outweigh whatever the lead is for Biden in some of these states.
And that would give President Trump over 270 electoral votes?
Correct. He would win re-election if he won Pennsylvania and Arizona, for instance, would be enough to, if he holds Georgia, North Carolina just was locked for him within the last few hours. So again, we're looking at the fact that if he picks up Pennsylvania and Arizona, there's no path to victory for Biden.
Pennsylvania and Arizona.
Right, correct.
So Pennsylvania, though, may go to the Supreme Court, though. That's because of the astounding amount of irregularities, to use the word of the day, in Pennsylvania. That's more likely to go to the Supreme Court, right?
It's beyond that. So what happened was a judge came in and invalidated a Pennsylvania state law that stated that the deadline for ballots was 8 p.m. on election night.
Right.
In doing so, they did away with a good portion of the law regarding the mail ballots. So the issue before the Supreme Court at this point is whether or not to invalidate the entire law, which would get rid of all mail ballots, which obviously would disenfranchise a ton of legal voters. So that's the problem. Or what they did is they pushed for a stay as of last week, which said you guys need to separate the ballots that came in after 8 p.m. on election night so that they can be counted separately if we ever need to do so. The problem is, and that I've seen existing, is that the AG and the Department of State in the state of Pennsylvania, who have been in charge of this counting effort, have both essentially ignored the Supreme Court's order. So the question is, are we going to be able to identify these ballots separately, and are they going to be able to be invalidated should they not meet the law? Again, the law was established through a constitutional process by the legislature in the state of Pennsylvania. Invalidating that by a court does not make it any less legal or illegal. It has to be done through a legislature and through the constitutional process.
Right. Only the legislature has the right to change the election laws under the U.S. Constitution, the federal Constitution. The state Supreme Court, made up of 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans in Pennsylvania, does not have the right to do that. So that's what's going to be a very, very tough thing. So how soon will we have results in Arizona, do you think, Scott Heinsohn?
I believe in the next 24 to 48 hours. I believe that you'll see a lot of information coming in. They said the 12th is kind of the quote-unquote deadline that they expect. Thus far, it's about a 14,000 and change lead for Biden. From my understanding, there's about 60 to 70,000 votes outstanding. Trump would need to win about 65 to 70% of those to really secure his win of Arizona. If for whatever reason there is a win that comes out of Arizona, there's going to be a lot of focus. All the focus is going to go to Pennsylvania, all of it.
Wow. Scott Heinsohn from Red State, we really appreciate you joining us. And where can people go if they want to read your stuff? Tell us the website.
You can go to redstate.com/Scott Heinsohn, or you can go ahead and find me on Twitter @HoundSizzle.
Okay, great. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate you being with us, Scott Heinsohn. If you haven't watched Bill O'Reilly's Money Message by going to HowieCarrShow.com and clicking on the Bill O'Reilly banner, then do it today. One network refused to run it because of its, quote, conservative nature, unquote. That's outrageous. So we are doing all we can to get the message out to you. It's important now more than ever to look at where your money is and not put your head in the sand. Bill O'Reilly is calling Oxford Club chief investment strategist Alexander Green one of the nation's top financial minds. They square off in this controversial money message. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. See O'Reilly and Green as they discuss why nearly 2,000 Americans are becoming millionaires daily and how you can dramatically increase your wealth as well. Through a special discount offer, you'll also receive a copy of O'Reilly's United States of Trump best-selling book. Supplies are limited and disappearing fast, so act today. HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. Start feeling secure about your life savings and investments today. HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Realtor J.T. Kelly. He helped my daughter Carolyn, and he can help you too. He specializes in residential and investment sales. Contact him at 1-800-364-9200.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
I'm sorry, Howie?
Let's take some calls.
Okay.
Can I get the sound again? Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable.
That they wanted their voices to be heard.
I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel. Yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Yesterday, it was announced that there is a vaccine for COVID-19. Now that the election's over and it couldn't help Trump, they decided to announce it. And today, Andrew McCabe, the disgraced former acting director of the FBI, whose wife received almost $1 million in money for her unsuccessful run for the Virginia State Senate from a Clinton bundler, the then governor, Terry McAuliffe, while her husband, Andrew McCabe, was running the Clinton espionage investigation at the FBI. McCabe, as you know, was fired. He lied under oath three times the day he was appointed as acting director after Comey was fired. That's in the Inspector General's report. Today, now that the election's over, he finally goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee to testify about how disgraceful it was to get a FISA court warrant to surveil Carter Page, President Trump's aide and a U.S. Naval Academy graduate. So he basically admits everything, not criminal, but just incompetence and just a bad performance in running all these lies from the Clinton campaign into a federal court, swearing to their veracity under oath, et cetera, et cetera. But it's too late. It's too late now, but let's listen to it. He was questioned by Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, about the Clinton Foundation. Cut 24.
Did James Comey authorize you to disclose information about the Clinton Foundation investigation to the press?
I didn't need James Comey's authorization.
I didn't ask if you needed it. I asked, did he authorize you to disclose it? That's a yes or no question.
I authorized the disclosure.
Okay, you're still not answering my question. Did James Comey know about it, and did he authorize it? Yes or no? Did he know about it?
To my recollection, sir, yes, he knew about it.
What a weasel that guy is, Andrew McCabe. Does he sound like a tough guy? Does he sound like a tough cop? Do you think he's made a lot of callers at 3 a.m? I don't think so. And so then Cruz also asked him about what Ben Rhodes said yesterday, the former Obama aide. And he said that Biden is taking calls from foreign countries, which would be a violation of the Logan Act, which Biden said they should use against Michael Flynn at that famous meeting at in the Oval Office in January of 2017. They were going to use the Logan Act, which has never been successfully used to put anybody behind bars or even get a conviction on. Cut 25.
Said that foreign leaders are already having conversations with Joe Biden, quote, talking about the agenda they're going to pursue January 20th. Mr. McCabe, based on that testimony, do you believe Joe Biden is violating the Logan Act?
I'm not going to opine on a hypothetical question about what the Biden campaign.
He is talking with foreign leaders, and it doesn't violate the Logan Act because the Logan Act is unconstitutional, which is why it's never been used to prosecute anyone. You authorized using it to go after General Flynn as part of a political persecution. I can give you the answer. Hell no, Joe Biden is not violating the Logan Act. The reason you won't say it is because that was your flimsy political basis to go after a decorated war hero because you disagreed politically with President Trump.
It sounds good, but again, it's a little late in the game, isn't it? Unfortunately. Keith, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Keith.
Mr. Carr, good afternoon. My name is Keith, and I am a 50-year-old lifelong Republican, and I wanted to let you know, first of all, thank you. About 11:30 on election night, a friend texted me and said, hey, switch over to Newsmax. I've been watching Fox News for the past 20 some odd years. Your show is refreshing. Your channel is fantastic. And I'd like to answer your question about whether or not President Trump should concede. The answer is hell no. It will require a platoon of U.S. Marines to pull him out of the Oval Office with what has taken place here. You described Andrew McCabe as a weasel. You're absolutely right. That man is. What they did to President Trump since 2016 has been a disgrace, an embarrassment, and President Trump, knowing him, he is a savage. He will fight this to the end. God bless, and thank you.
Thank you, Keith, and I'm glad you're enjoying Newsmax, and please keep watching us. We appreciate it. Dave, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Dave.
Dave. Howie, how are you doing tonight?
Good.
Good. You've been around the block for a while, right? You're a smart guy. How many people in your lifetime have been able to keep a secret?
I don't know. I think I know where you're going, Dave, but have we ever really found out who killed JFK?
You know what? That's a perfect example. That's the only one that's out there. So in other words, you don't know many people. And that's my point exactly. Your other guest said there's 4 states involved in this. How many people, just a rough number, would be able to take care of all those ballots? 36 people? 120?
But here's the other thing though, Dave, is if you're doing something and there's not going to be any punishment, there's going to be a lot more of this bad behavior going on if nobody ever gets punished, right? So I mean, this whole thing with the Russian collusion hoax is an example of nobody being punished. So I would say these people that were doing this in all these different states across the country, they knew they could operate with pretty much impunity, didn't they?
Well, you say that, but again, going back to the people that can keep a secret, then they would be proud of the fact that they just did what they did, and they'd be telling everybody.
Well, I mean, they look at it in Michigan, 131 affidavits have been completed with over 2,800 incident reports. So, but, the mainstream media is not reporting it. So if the tree falls in the forest and no one's there, I'm Howie Carr. Take advantage of limited time Black Friday savings and let HelloFresh spice up mealtime at home with simple recipes and fresh ingredients. Sourced directly from growers and delivered to your door, contact-free. With more than 22 weekly recipes, there's something for everyone to enjoy, including family-friendly, vegetarian, and low-calorie choices. You can finally say goodbye to never-ending meal planning and prepping. HelloFresh recipes are easy to follow with simple steps and pictures to help you get meals on the table in as little as 20 minutes. Plus, by skipping the store, you save up to 40% on groceries, cut food waste by 25%, and save time. So you have more time to celebrate the holidays with loved ones. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code word Howie90 for $90 off, including free shipping during HelloFresh's Black Friday sale. For a limited time only, go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie90 for $90 off. HelloFresh.com. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly. And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton. There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper. If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke. A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court. Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer's impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over. So everybody enjoy the holidays. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. So are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in.
I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career and now I won't get a chance to run against her and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Biden might be the front runner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch it. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east, in the west.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. Old New England Soap is committed to producing the highest quality organic and goat milk soaps available anywhere. We take pride in using the purest ingredients and avoiding the typical shortcuts used by other soap makers. Because goat milk is what feeds your skin, we have formulated our soap to use the maximum amount of goat milk possible, 38%, more than double any other brand. Not because it's easy, but because our soap is always better. We are proud to offer you what we consider to be truly premium quality handmade soaps. What's more, our soap does not contain GMO ingredients, pesticides, sulfates, dyes, artificial colors, alcohol, or petroleum products. Try our new shampoo bar and pooch soap, and be sure to see all of the great scented wood-wick soy candles that burn soot-free for up to 100 hours. Right now, save 15% on your order and get free shipping on orders over $45. Buy now at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. Not available in stores. oldnesoap.com.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
Remember the boy who cried wolf? I call this one the press that cried Hitler.
The president is not only racist, he's a bigot, but he is completely un-American. He is behaving like a fascist.
This is the president once again just thumping his chest and acting like he is the dictator that I think he wants to be.
The president of the United States is a wannabe dictator with authoritarian tendencies.
This is exactly what authoritarians do. This is what strongmen do. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes.
We have a president with a strong authoritarian personality.
Like a dictator from another nation. People that grew up in authoritarian regimes, seeing echoes of that in President Trump. He likes these figures like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. This is more the actions of a dictator.
He totally wants to be a dictator. It's so obvious.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks to Operation Warp Speed, we've actually guaranteed receipt of FDA authorized vaccine from Pfizer, 100 million doses that we purchased.
We may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December. We would be giving vaccine to people very likely before the end of this year.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
The good news is the Pfizer tests look good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan.
You're being negative Nancy. Stop it. Okay? Unless you want everyone to call you Negative Nancy from now on.
I've been talking to governors across the nation about that. How can we shape the Trump administration vaccine plan to fix it or stop it?
That's the evilest thing I can imagine. Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Attorney General Bill Barr says federal prosecutors are authorized to investigate allegations of voter fraud.
This memo comes out authorizing federal prosecutors to look into substantial allegations of voting irregularities if there is clear and apparently credible, allegations of irregularities.
You mean like this?
Kirk Hartle said he was surprised when he found out his wife had sent in a mail-in ballot.
I was surprised because she passed away 3 years ago.
Clark County officials say Rosemary's signature is a match to what's on their records.
We're now finding that 25,000 nursing home residents in different nursing homes requested mail-in ballots at the exact same time.
Very interesting.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
500-4242. We're just talking with that last caller about, how can so many people keep a secret? And I was talking about JFK being shot, and we still don't know who shot him all these years later, almost, 57 years later? And Email Allen says, don't ask the conspiracy skeptics who killed JFK. Ask them, did Mayor Daley's machine create votes for JFK? We didn't know it then, but we do know it now. Yeah, I think Nixon knew it at the time, and J. Edgar Hoover knew it at the time, but they decided to not say anything. And but we do know now, and there's no question about it now, right? None whatsoever. And I don't think there's too much question that votes were manipulated here, shall we say. There were irregularities. 844-500-4242. And just one thing before we go to the chump line here. This story in the New York Times about these law firms that don't want to represent Trump or are angry about this is really horrible. How would you like to have a lawyer like this? This law firm of Jones Day, that's where Don McGahn was. He's back there now. Don McGahn was the first White House counsel. Since 2015, Jones Day, that's the law firm, has received more than $20 million in fees from the Trump campaigns, political groups linked to Mr. Trump and the Republican National Committee. More than $20 million, and they're ripping him. This year, Jones Day has received more than $4 million in fees from them. And one lawyer said he was concerned that the firm might be asked to try to delay the election. Oh, God, these people are so bad. Wouldn't want them beside you in a foxhole, would you? I don't think so. Time now for the chump line.
My name is John Johnson. I vote in Wisconsin. I've been dead for about 20 years.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans in Wisconsin, where Jan Johnson lives and votes after his death year after year.
Joe Biden doesn't misspeak. It's just a glitch.
I love that word, glitch. Everything's a glitch. Oh, we deleted 100,000 Trump votes. Oh, what a glitch that was. Oh, thanks for bringing it to our attention. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, recalling a time when it was the Electoral College that determined who won the presidency, not the media. After all the recounts, court challenges, and after the state votes are certified, for the record, that date is December 14th, still more than a month away.
Joe Biden isn't very sensitive. He shouldn't have said he has a mandate. He should have said he has a person date.
Exactly. That's so true. Yes, we must. And what is Joe Biden's preferred pronouns? Has he ever been asked that question?
Howie, Joe Biden calling. Come on, man. Donald Trump might think he's going to steal the election in the courts with Judy Rudiani and Jenda Jodava and Barbill, but I'm preparing my legal challenge. The fact is, I spent the past week watching Matlock. I just hope Andy Griffith returns my call soon. I know he voted for me. I mean it.
Yeah, I'll bet Biden's been taking a lot of time out for those Matlock binges. How many episodes of Matlock are there? Probably 150 at least, right?
I don't know about that many, but there were a few seasons.
COVID-930, a mandatory disease on business.
COVID. I thought that when everybody went out to celebrate over the weekend and without masks and drinking champagne out of the bottle and not social distance, isn't it over? So can someone give Charlie Parker the message? COVID is so over.
There were 193 Matlock episodes.
See? I was
9
right.
seasons. That's incredible. I didn't think there were that many.
Time passes quickly when you're watching crappy TV like that, like Matlock.
Is it a mail-in ballot or a dying wish?
You know, the guy that voted in Detroit who was born in 1850, I don't think he knew who he was going to vote for when he passed on at probably in the early part of the 20th century.
Oh, Donald, there was a man, and Donald was his name. He ran for president, but the Dems played a dirty game. So they lied and they cheated. Donnie will win just the same. Oh.
I like the sentiment of the song, but it's a little slow moving and dirge-like.
I'd like to congratulate Mitt Romney for being Mitt Romney.
Yeah. Did he put out his congratulatory tweet under his own name or under Pierre Delecto's name? By the way, there are 4 Republican senators who've congratulated Joe Biden on his astounding triumph. And they would be Willard Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Ben Sass, none of whom are going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. I think I can state that with some degree of certainty.
Eva Mayor, as you know, Mary Jo was from Pennsylvania, and surely she voted for Biden. And if anything, that means that Chappaquiddick could be considered a courageous get-out-the-vote effort. Yeah.
Yes, I believe she was from Pennsylvania. She's buried in Pennsylvania anyway. And they tried to exhume her body, and they failed, much to the relief of Senator Ted Kennedy.
You know, at this point, I'm really beginning to doubt if Corn Pop was actually a bad dude.
What is Corn Pop's role in the transition? I know he's deceased, but you know that hasn't stopped anyone in the Biden from being involved in the Biden campaign in all of these many states.
No positive thoughts, only darkness.
No, we're going to remain positive. We're going to remain on the sunny side of the street.
And the Academy Award goes to, in a landslide, Van Jones.
He was crying. He was so happy. He said now he had something. I think he said something like, now you can look up to your kids can look up to you because you've done away with the Orange Man bad. Something like that.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
That's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call in, leave a message at any hour of the day or night, at least in the hours of between 1 and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every afternoon. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message between 1 and 5 p.m., is 844-500-4242. 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time. Each weekday, if you can't get enough chumps or didn't hear your message and you want to hear it, we may have it on Chopped Chumps. That's our podcast that we post every evening, the Chump Line messages that were left on the cutting room floor. Chop Chumps. Get your Chop Chumps at around 7 o'clock every night, wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcasts. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, recalling a time when it was the Electoral College that determined who won the presidency, not the media. After all the recounts, court challenges, and after the state votes are certified, for the record, that date is December 14th.
My name is John Johnson. I vote in Wisconsin. I've been dead for about 20 years.
That doesn't matter. We don't even need a seance. We can just know, just psychics that we are. We know who you wanted to vote for, and all the dead are for Biden. The Grateful Dead. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Christmas.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920, not 2020.
Eden Pure will continue their buy one, get one free promotion for the Thunderstorm air purification system all week long. Eden Pure is able to do this due to the huge success from the Howie Carr Show listeners. The response has been tremendous, and Eden Pure is passing on those savings to the listeners. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand and plug into the wall. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm works like a real thunderstorm. It quietly sends out super oxygen and ions to kill odors in your room. Over the weekend, I saw my daughter Carolyn, and she asked if she could have one for her basement in her new home. She asked if it really works, and I said, of course it does. You won't believe it. If you bought one for your home and enjoy the big difference in smell, take advantage of the BOGO offer now and buy one for a family member like I'm going to do for Carolyn. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. That's EdenPure.com. And with code word Howie BOGO, shipping is free.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
(844-500-4242) Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company that I trust. Give them a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which MSNBC personality is having the worst day? Ken Delanian, Joy Reid, or John Meacham?
I'm going to say Joy Reid, just for the sport of putting her to the shame again.
67% say Joy Reid.
67%. All right. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Here's another indication of the mood of the populace in the waning days of the election, and it's not a populace that I think would vote for Joe Biden in the numbers that they are said to have voted for him. This is about gun sales and background checks on gun sales, and for the number of background checks, the National Instant Background Check System (NICS), was 3.3 million checks. 3.3 million checks. And the previous record for checks in October was last year with 2.3 million. So there was an extra 1 million background checks this year as the election neared. How about gun sales? In October of 2019, the number of gun sales in the U.S. was 1.06 million. The number of gun sales this October, 1.74 million. So there were an additional 680,000 gun sales. They were up like 64%. More than 20 million guns will be sold in the U.S. this year. About 40% of those sales are to new gun owners. Most of the sales are for self-defense. Higher percentages than ever before are to minorities and women. And there are over 458 million privately owned guns in the U.S. But they think they're going to just round them up. We'll have a buyback program. Everybody will just give up their guns, including the cops. You ever know any cops that didn't have guns of their own? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. They should have guns of their own. Everybody should have a gun of their own. But do you think the cops are going to give up their guns? Where does Beto O'Rourke fit into the new administration that they're dreaming of? He said he was going to put Beto O'Rourke in charge of rounding up all the guns, including the AR-15s. You going to give up your AR-15? No, I didn't think so. How about this one? This is from California. A woman is being investigated for voter intimidation after reportedly collecting ballots from seniors at a low-income housing complex in California. This is in South LA. The allegation, which was made by the son of a senior resident and first reported by local Korean language news channel SBS International, claims the woman went door to door at the senior complex and steered the seniors to vote for and attempted to convince them to vote for Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden. There's a lot of this going around, but the reason I mention it is because you'll notice this story is not broken by, say, the LA Times, right? Or I think TMZ is based in Los Angeles, Southern California. None of the huge media organizations, and of course all the networks have bureaus in Los Angeles, none of those outlets broke this story about this voter intimidation going on at the Senior Citizen Project. It was broken by the local Korean language news channel, SBS International. Isn't that something? I guess they were too busy asking law firms, whether they liked representing Republicans. Meanwhile, GoFundMe derails fundraiser for whistleblower mail carrier from Pennsylvania. This is the Richard Hopkins from Erie, PA. He's one of the guys who said that his postmaster told him to backdate the election ballots in Pennsylvania, and this is a big problem, obviously. And so he signed an affidavit under penalty of perjury, and then he was suspended without pay. So he set up the GoFundMe page, and they shut it. They raised $120,000 very quickly, and they shut it down. GoFundMe shut it down. They've frozen the account. Donald Trump Jr. Tweeted out, they're flagging a whistleblower, the same people that would do anything for whistleblowers who would come against conservatives regardless of credibility, meaning like the Ukrainian fakers. WTF, you know what that means. You would think these woke people would want to protect all the whistleblowers, but I guess it only goes one way. Yeah, it only goes one way. That's putting it mildly. Remember the Black Lives Matter guy in Portland who kicked a guy in the head? This white guy got out of his truck. He was trying to protect a transgender, and he kicked him in the head and knocked him out. The victim, his name was Adam Hanner, said he was attacked for being white. Well, the 26-year-old Black Lives Matter protester has been sentenced to 20 months behind bars. 20 months. That's pretty good for Portland, Oregon, isn't it? Don't they have one of those George Soros prosecutors out there? But finally, there's a little bit of justice in Oregon. Marquise Love was his name, pleaded guilty to third-degree assault and felony riot. I'm Howie Carr.
Hey, Howie, I see you got a haircut again.
Yes, I did, Grace. It looks good, doesn't it?
It definitely looks better than that haircut you got a few years ago before you met the president. Remember that bad buzz cut, Howie?
Geez, you love bringing that up, don't you?
Well, I just think that your bad haircut was a true testament to the wonderful work of Dr. Heinsohn at DiStefano Hair Restoration, because even though you looked crazy at the time, your hair grew back. And now you look as dapper as ever.
That's true. Dr. Heinsohn did such a wonderful job on my hair. I love waking up every day not worrying about bald spots or a dreaded comb over. I now have a thick head of hair, and the best part of it is, it's my hair. Getting a DiStefano hair restoration was the best decision I ever made.
Well, besides hiring me, right, Howie?
Like I said, Grace, it was the best decision I ever made.
You heard him, guys. Go to hairman.com to get the hair you've always wanted. Get hair like Howie's. Go to DiStefano Hair Restoration. They have 5 locations in New England, and they are open for business. That's hairman.com. There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. So are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can also see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet, little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
The word that's helping Elizabeth Warren get through her so-so campaign? So.
Will you raise taxes on the middle class to pay for it? Yes or no?
So the way I see this, so understand, taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. So no, and I'm not here to criticize other Democrats. So my proposal is that student loan debt would be canceled up to $50,000.
So, Elizabeth, can you put this issue to bed and tell us whether or not you are, in fact, a member of a minority group?
So, middle-class families.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So, I grew up out in Oklahoma. So look.
Why did you check those boxes?
So.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We're going to take some calls, but I want to play a couple of cuts here. This was a funny cut. There was a French TV crew was doing a live shot in Washington on the street, and this American joker comes up to them, and listen to what happens. Cut 18.
And I've been to France. It's beautiful. Il est pas le seul ce soir. Escargot. I love a croissant. I love an omelette du fromage.
Think that guy had a couple of cocktails. He loves the croissant. Okay, now this is just crazy stuff. This is Anderson Cooper. He had to apologize the other day for saying that Donald Trump sounded like an obese turtle on his back, just moving his legs or something like that. I don't know where he came up with that weird description of Donald Trump, but he had to apologize for that. So after having to apologize to the president for calling him an obese turtle on his back, this is what he said about Don Jr. Cut 17.
In the mid-'90s, I think it was like 96, I was in Kinshasa in the waning days of Mobutu. And Mobutu was a pretty awful dictator. And when he finally fled the country and the rebels were moving to take the capital, his son drove around in a pickup truck with a machine gun and settling scores with people he felt had not been supported enough with Mobutu. Thankfully, it hasn't come to that here, but I can't believe we're in a situation where a transfer of power is not. I can't believe we are in this situation here. It just seems so petty. And I know it's about Georgia, and I know it's about setting up grievance politics that will perhaps allow him to run in 4 years.
So what was the 2016 election all about when you had your people spend 4 hours just talking about this phony, dodgy dossier? And that was just the beginning. But, this was something that was provided to you by the Clinton administration. It was by the Clinton campaign. It wasn't even true. It was all made up, and you pretended like it was true. Were you? Was that like Kinshasa and trying to stop the orderly transition of power? Anderson, you and Jake Tapper, a Clinton employee in days of yore, or Clinton in-law employee in days of yore, and Carl Bernstein, biographer of Hillary Clinton, and some of the other people that were Obama stooges. Was that trying to interfere with an orderly transition of power? 844-500-4242. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Howie.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Hey, just real quick. I don't know why this isn't gone at from another angle for election integrity. I mean, we have all these laws in the books. From many, many years ago, there was a saying I remember. When I learned it in school. Vote early and vote often. Right? You have employers pressuring their employees.
Right. That was a joke.
So
that was
they made everybody
generally
go into a
speaking
booth.
a joke, Steve. vote early, vote often. Vote often, vote early for James Michael Curley. That wasn't the version of it.
Yeah, but my point is they had made these laws because they didn't have privacy. You didn't have everybody going into a booth. And now you have mail-in ballots. So, again, you could have your employer pressured. But I think more so than that, I think, I would go at it from an angle of domestic violence. Is that not a thing anymore? Because, there's X amount of percentage of men in this country, usually, and it could be, the other way around. But, it's usually the man who's
I don't, Steve. I don't get where you're.
coercing.
I don't get where you're going with that line of argument. I haven't heard anyone say that there were any women coerced into voting for Joe Biden or anybody else. Thanks for the call, Steve. Mary, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi, Howie. How are you?
Good.
I haven't been able to volunteer up at the Maine Veterans Home since February.
Yeah.
When everything started,
Yeah.
And it dawned on me since Bangor, Maine is not having their annual Veterans Day parade. Sunday night when I was thinking a little bit more clearly after this very upsetting week. So I called one of the state reps, Dick Campbell, and we're going to be standing out tomorrow on the Chamberlain Bridge between Bangor and Brewer from 10 to 12. And at 11:11, we will honor our veterans.
That's great. That's great,
program.
Mary. Good.
Yeah,
That's
so
good thought.
It's been short notice. Anybody in the area who wants to come and join us, bring your flag and come and join us.
Okay, and tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I think today is the anniversary of the founding of the U.S. Marine Corps. So happy birthday to the Marines, and Veterans Day is tomorrow, November 11th. Thanks for the call, Mary, and good work. Rico, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, hi, Howie.
Hi.
Hey, I'd ask for the voice changer, but I think I'll just go straight to it. I served active duty at First Information Operations Command, also at U.S. Cyber Command and other interesting units. And currently, I'm a contractor in the IC in D.C. So I come at this with some experience. We shouldn't use our enemy's terms, just validates and solidifies their narrative, because they have the media and big tech. They have what we call by doctrine in field manuals as information dominance, and we need to use that term. The election activities conducted by the Dems, in my opinion, was an execution of a sophisticated information operations plan, and is supported by offensive cyber operations in the form of a vote counting compromise. So here's my only take. Please don't use the term glitch for voting.
No, I'm using it. Believe me, Rico, I know we're using it as a joke. All of us, all of the callers, all the listeners, and myself. We know it's a joke. Whenever they say glitch, it's like peaceful protest, right? Whenever someone says peaceful protest, now somebody got looted and burned out, right?
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, it was a programmed in and probably a backdoor, either planted by U.S. or China. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thanks, Rico. Yeah, we know they weren't glitches. You don't get glitches going all one way. A glitch would eventually have to help a Republican or a third party candidate, but it only helps. These glitches have only helped Joe Biden. They haven't even helped any down ballot Democrats. 450,000 votes cast solely for Joe Biden. Ask yourself, how many times have you gone in to your precinct and voted for one race? It just doesn't happen, does it? Sharon, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Sharon.
Hi, I think I'm still in historic Mystic River, Medford. I don't know what else is going to fall apart this week, Howie. So we're holding on to our some conservative friends here. I have just two quick questions for you, and thank you for the time. You did such a great job, and so well spoken and clear. I believe last evening at Bar Educated it was okay to go ahead now with the investigation. When this goes to the Supreme Court, all the Democrats are screaming, no physical evidence, no evidence. Democrats as poll workers are coming forward now. Howie, I know you don't maybe have the degree like in election law, but what would constitute hard evidence for us? What should we be looking for? And do you really trust the Supreme Court in the end? Thanks, Howie, and have a very safe week.
That's a really good question. I guess I would say I trust the Supreme Court more now than I would when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was on, and they could flip it when they could make John Roberts do whatever they want. So even with John Roberts on the radical liberal side, which he basically is now, they still have 5 conservatives. So I guess I would trust them to a degree, to a greater degree. And I don't know the answer to the other question. I just I don't know what it's gonna take to win this, but it's it's we just gotta keep fighting and can't give up. You can't if we give up, we lose, and there's no question about it. So you have to keep battling. Thanks for the call there, Sharon. Clint, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Clint.
Hi, Howie. Thanks for taking the call. Hey, my question kind of goes along with Sharon's little thing. How many of these people do you think that were counting our ballots, these upstanding citizens, were members of Antifa or BLM?
I don't think too many of them. That's if you vote often, most of the poll watchers in the precincts are very old. I guess these would be like people at City Hall or Town Hall, and they would have these ballot harvesters in some states. But I doubt very much that they're Antifa or BLM, because those people don't. It's hard to get them up to work a solid day. I think for most of them. Thanks for the call, though, Clint. 844-500-4242. Jim, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jim.
Howie,
Hi.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I feel like my first call to a radio station should have been 60 years ago, dedicating a song by the Rolling Stones or something. But I got to tell you, I love your show, and my favorite 20 minutes every week is Thursday morning when you call Phil. And your big mistake is
Phil
you need to
Paleologus.
extend that to 30 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
He's got an infectious laugh. But the two of you guys, you should pack this up and take it on the road. You do a great job. Increase it to half an hour and then make it like twice a week. I'd be so happy. But I want to ask you a question about Max, Newsmax,
Yes.
OAN, and what's happening with Fox. And why am I hearing all this about people running away from Fox? And what's happened to make it so bad? And what's happening with Hannity and Laura and all the people that, I've trusted through my life. And I'm old now and maybe not exposed to as many options.
Well, I think it's not so much Sean and Laura. Laura just said she hopes he would concede with grace or something like that. I think that was the word she used, grace. And so people were angry about that, and as if he should concede. And the problem with Fox is that some of the other people, like Sandra Smith, was rolling her eyes when one of Trump's lawyers was saying there was a lot of election fraud going on. Neil Cavuto actually shut off Kayleigh McEnany's press conference yesterday after about 30 seconds because she was talking about voter fraud. And this and Chris Wallace at the debate. They've all been sort of veering to the left, except for Tucker. Tucker called out, without naming him, he called out Neil Cavuto last night on his show. And I just think that people have just sort of had it. They feel like they've been badly used by Fox, that, Fox has made tons and tons of money off people like us watching them for years now. And now the Murdoch kids and especially their wives have become real leftists. One of the Rupert Murdoch's daughter-in-law, one of them said, she tweeted out, "We did it," after the election was called for Biden. We did it. They make over $1 billion a year on the Fox News channel off of our watching their channel around the clock. And this is the thanks we get. They don't even back up President Trump, who was with them all the way from the beginning. That's what it's all about. Thanks. I'm glad you like me on WBSM every Thursday morning at around 7:30 with Phil Paleologus. We have a good time doing that. If you haven't tried Super Beets Soft Chews, you're missing out. Super Beets Soft Chews are great. They look like candy in foil. They're wrapped like candy. They taste sweet, but they're good for you. They're not they're not bad. They're absolutely good for your heart. They're good for your blood pressure. They're good for your circulation, and they give you a burst of energy. Super Beets Soft Chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beets Chews has been clinically shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. Super Beets Chews promotes heart-healthy energy the way nature intended without caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support and the energy you want. And if you love Super Beets Chews, you'll love their all-new delicious vitamin D3 chews. Vitamin D3 has been in the news a lot lately for its ability to support immune health. Humans' all-new vitamin D3 chews provide high-potency vitamin D3 for a convenient and delicious way to support your immune health year-round. And now you can get a free bag of vitamin D3 chews and a free bag of Super Beets chews. They're much more full than they are, right? This bag is, because we've been eating it for about a week or so. That's right. When you purchase 2 bags of Super Beets chews, they'll throw in a free bag of Super Beets chews and a free bag of vitamin D3 chews. Hurry to superbeetsradio.com/Howie. That's superbeetsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Follinsby Inn in North Sutton, New Hampshire. Do what Grace did and enjoy Kezar Lake, the foliage, and delicious food. To reserve your room, go to follinsbyinn.com. Special rates for midweek visits. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
The coronavirus has made our lives unpredictable. But one thing you can always count on, the White House press corps will always ask President Trump ridiculous questions.
Question, Mr. President, should Americans have to decide between staying healthy and going back to work?
Hey, just checking on oil again today. I was wondering.
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Well, I was wondering if you.
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do something else. What do you say the Americans were scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
Well, where did he come from, the Inspector General? What's his name?
It came from the Inspector General
what's his
report. I don't know his name.
Some of your allies have been bashing these doctors. Would you tell them to cut it out?
Today you tweeted the invisible enemy will soon be in full retreat. Given it's invisible without widespread testing, how would you know?
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
207 texts in. I find it disappointing that no one at Fox News knows I'm not watching anymore. Oh, they know. They know. I'm just looking at a headline on the internet. Monday night ratings disaster for Tucker, Sean, and Laura on Fox News. Lost 1/3 of their audience last night. That was because of that big Monday night football game between the Jets and the Patriots. 844-500-4242, 919. Newsmax needs a morning news. They don't start broadcasting live until 7 a.m. It should start at 5 a.m. I know it would knock off your rebroadcast from the evening before, but Howie, come on, man. I love the rebroadcast. That's great stuff for me. Don't you understand? Ron, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, Howie. It's Ron from Woodhull or Moscow on Buzzards Bay. I sent this information to Sidney Powell. The Dominion software, from what I've heard, is connected to the computers where the vote counting is done with a modem. And that means that programs and data can be uploaded and downloaded. So I hope that the attorneys that are doing this stuff for the Republicans have the sense to bring in some forensic software computer specialists.
I think they are, Ron. I mean, there's enough stories out there, and people are saying that. I don't know how much veracity these stories involve, but they're saying that they've seen the actual computers connected to this internet software from Dominion. I don't know. I have confidence that if there's anything to these stories, that they'll get onto them. And apparently, this Dominion software is everywhere. It's all over these states, these affected states, and some of the states that aren't affected. Thanks for the call, though, Ron. Thanks for calling. Paul, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Howie, how are you doing today?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to let you know that this censorship that we've all seen, it starts at the very top with the president. It goes down all the way down to the lowest denominator, which has fallen upon myself. I now have been censored, just like the president has been censored. But of all things, by the local hometown newspaper.
They won't print your letters anymore?
No, they don't print my letters, Howie. In fact, I sent letters to the editor. They haven't posted the last couple. And then I wrote one about the election, and I listed all of the irregularities, shall we say, about the election.
Yeah.
And the editor, who I have known personally in the past, had emailed me, and he said that they weren't going to put it there because it was unverified.
Unverified. Did they worry about that with Russia collusion for 4 years? I don't think so. Thanks for the call, Paul. I hope you have better luck. I'm Howie Carr.
People call us all the time and say, "Hey, Matthews Brothers, these are uncertain, difficult, unprecedented, strange, troubled, turbulent, and challenging times we're living in. Not to mention crazy." To which we say, "Hello, New England. It's your old pal, Chris here. Guess what? This is no longer the sound of a Matthews carol. Instead, it's the sound of a wicked big thank you to Teddy, Gino, Linda, Christine and Emmy, the boys from Brio, Captain Dave, Leslie, William and Marion, George and Rick, Jared, Grace, Taylor, and Howie for lending their voices to raise money for some great organizations. It's also the sound of us thanking those of you out there who have endured our annual wicked annoying carols for all these years. This healthy dose of reality has been brought to you by your pals at Matthews Brothers.
Matthews Brothers, Matthews Brothers, Matthews with one T. America's oldest window manufacturer are we.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. It was a big mistake when it was made. We were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word, jobs. J-O-B-S, jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joy, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
We all love President Trump's off-the-cuff comments, but he's never in rarer form than when he's speaking at a rally. Take a listen.
I hit Pocahontas way too early. I thought she was gone. She's emerged from the ashes, and now it looks like she could beat Sleepy Joe. He's fallen asleep. He has no idea what the hell he's doing or saying. I don't know. I'm not a vain person. But I look better under an incandescent light than these crazy lights that are beaming down on. That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. Got a bigger problem than I do. Now he goes home and his mom says, "What the hell have you just done?" How do you top that? I'm just ready. The big, beautiful crescendo and this character's going back home. One person just going home to mommy a little bit sooner. These are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president and they're not. You really have to elect me. Whether you like me or not, it makes no difference because our country will go to hell if any of these people get in.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of two poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks to Operation Warp Speed, we've actually guaranteed receipt of FDA-authorized vaccine from Pfizer, 100 million doses that we purchased.
We may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December. We would be giving vaccine to people very likely before the end of this year.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
The good news is the Pfizer tests look good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan.
You're being negative Nancy. Stop it. Okay? Unless you want everyone to call you negative Nancy from now on.
I've been talking to governors across the nation about that. How can we shape the Trump administration vaccine plan to fix it or stop it?
That's the evilest thing I can imagine. Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Attorney General Bill Barr says federal prosecutors are authorized to investigate allegations of voter fraud.
This memo comes out authorizing federal prosecutors to look into substantial allegations of voting irregularities if there is clear and apparently credible, allegations of irregularities.
You mean like this?
Kirk Hartle said he was surprised when he found out his wife had sent in a mail-in ballot.
I was surprised because she passed away 3 years ago.
Clark County officials say Rosemary's signature is a match to what's on their records.
We're now finding that 25,000 nursing home residents in different nursing homes requested mail-in ballots at the exact same time.
Very interesting.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. We played you a song yesterday. Someone sent it to me and said it's a really fantastic song. It's a great battle theme for the recounts that are ahead and the court challenges. And we are joined now by the singer who put this song together. It's called Pallets of Ballots.
When I went to sleep, Trump had the lead. How the hell did we go from election day to election week? The posters started wrong again. They must have been confused. But I tell ya about myself when I turn on the morning news, because they found ballots on the ballots at 3 a.m.
Pallets full of ballots at 3 a.m. We'll play the whole song as we go along, but let me introduce to you the singer-songwriter, Austin Foreman. Austin, thanks for being here on the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, Howie, how you doing, man?
That's a great song. Where are you from, first of all?
Thank you. I'm from Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, Pensacola. Okay, great. Okay, I'm in the Sunshine State as well, on the other side of the state. And how old are you, Austin?
I'm 27.
Okay, so how long did it take you to come up with this song?
So it didn't take long at all. My buddy, my buddy named Bobby, he actually called me on Friday and he said, "Hey man," he writes a lot of songs with me. He said, "We got to write a song about what's going on," because both him and I believe, there's a lot of corruption in the election. And so he said, "We got to write the song. They brought in these pallets full of ballots." And I said, "Bobby, what'd you say?" He said, "Pallets full of ballots." I said, "That's the name of the song." I said, "Bobby, what are you doing right now?" He said, "I'm walking into Hooters." I said, "No, you're not. Turn around and come to the house. We're going to write this song right now." And so we wrote it and then of course posted it. And, of course it's doing very well. And I'm happy because it's a comic relief. To me, it's a comic relief to something that's not very funny, because it isn't funny what's happening to us.
No, it's not.
As an American people. But it gives people something to smile about in the times that they're stressed out about what's going on in our country.
No, it's really good.
So
How
turned out very well.
many hits have you got now on clicks have you gotten on YouTube?
So we're over 500,000 views on YouTube in the first 4 days.
Wow, that's pretty good. When I saw it yesterday, it was about 250,000. So you've doubled it in a day, and it's gonna keep going up.
Of course, yeah. We're averaging about 17,000 views an hour.
Let's listen to a little bit more of it, and then we'll talk with you a little more.
Well, isn't that sweet? He got just what he needs. They found just enough folks to get Sleepy Joe in the lead. He said, "Come on, man, I'll hope you be a good sport." Donald Trump said that I'll see your ass in court. Bring those pallets full of ballots down at 3 a.m. All the way from Georgia to Michigan. They called Arizona early, and the only way to win is the pallets full of ballots on Joe Biden.
We're over a month from the actual vote in the Electoral College, Austin. You and your songwriter your buddy may have to come up with a few more lyrics, kind of expand it. It's, instead of a single, make it into like a Bob Dylan type song, with multiple stanzas and lyrics.
Of course, yeah, sure. There's going to be a part 2. I've already decided that. Yeah, we're going to watch what goes on and go along from there. There's going to be a part 2. It's just like I wrote a song about Carol Baskin that went viral too. There was a part 1 and part 2. We're going to do part 2 of this. But the part two is going to be about Trump's victory. As long as the Supreme Court does what it's supposed to do.
Let's hope so, Austin. So what's your you're not a professional musician, are you, or are you?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you think is professional. I do this for a living, but I play in bars. But I do it, it's all I do. So between YouTube and then playing in bars, and this is what I do for a living, and it's how I support my family.
Man, you must have had a pretty rough 2020 for a while, because even in Florida here, the bars were shut down for a little while, right?
Well, I did, but then in April, I released a song about Tiger King called "That Be Carol Baskins." I won't say the word on air, but and it got 1.2 million views on YouTube and 14 million views on Facebook, and so
wow.
That helped out a lot. So
you're doing okay.
So it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Not amazing, but okay.
Okay. We'll play. We got one more little bit of it to play, right, Taylor?
Somebody better wake him up, said Joe seen the man. To tell the truth, I think he forgot he was running for president. But it doesn't matter, 'cause they found pallets full of ballots at 3 a.m. all the way from Arizona to Wisconsin. Look at these pallets full of ballots, all for Joe Biden.
Hey, you got Howie. You got to send me the edited version of that so I can send it to these radio stations.
Okay, we'll send it. We'll send it. Grace will send it to you.
Very well.
Grace.
Howie, it's Grace right now. Austin, I love the song. I'm a big fan. I do have to tell people we had to edit out that last verse because there's some very funny but not suitable for air lyrics. So if they want to see the full thing, Austin, tell them where to go.
Sure, yeah, I'm on every platform you could probably think of, even Parler, which I love Parler. You go to Austin Foreman Music, and my last name is Forman. It's not like George Foreman, so there's no E in my last name. So Austin Foreman Music, and you go on any platform. YouTube's probably the best. I got most of the videos, and you can do it there. The edited version, though, I mean, it's great. I did have radio stations asking me for a clean version, so y'all should send that to me.
Okay, well, Grace will send it to you in the morning. How's that? Or maybe she can get it to you tonight. I don't know, but she'll get it to you. It's like going back to the '60s, when you had the Rolling Stones, "Let's Spend the Night Together," and they had to change it to "Let's Spend Some Time Together," right? So we're back to the future. Back to the future. Austin Foreman, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it, and check it out. It's a really funny song, and it'll cheer you up a little bit. Our listeners love the Thunderstorm air purifier, and the reviews are in. Lisa wrote, "The Thunderstorm is everything Howie Carr claimed it would be. I have 3 dogs and 3 birds, but you wouldn't know it now." Another stated, "The Thunderstorm way exceeded my expectations. It will be even more handy when winter arrives and we can't open the window. Winter is coming, so plan now. Eden Pure will continue their buy one, get one promotion for the Thunderstorm air purification system. Eden Pure is able to do this due to the huge success from the Howie Carr Show listeners. The response has been tremendous, and Eden Pure is passing on those savings to the listeners. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand, just like I'm doing right now for social media. You plug it into the wall to purify the air from any odor. This could be pet odor, chicken smells, kitchen smells, could be chicken smells, tobacco, or that damp smell that you may have lingering in your basement. I've seen large air purification systems that cost $1,000 and take up a lot of space. When you take advantage of the BOGO offer, you're getting 2 Thunderstorms for below $70 each. It doesn't take up any room, and no filters are needed. Take advantage of the BOGO offer now and experience yourself what all the listeners are raving about. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieBOGO. That's EdenPure.com with the code word HowieBOGO, one word. Shipping is free. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie.
may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie. Hey, Grace, how you doing?
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company that I trust. Give them a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which MSNBC personality is having the worst day? Ken Delanian, Joy Reid, or John Meacham?
I'm going to say Joy Reid.
68% say Joy Reid.
Okay. They're all pretty funny, though. If you haven't heard those, if you haven't seen the tweet from Joy Reid, how ignorant she is of basic politics, as even though she's the anchor of a primetime show on MSNBC and she knows nothing. So what else is new, right? She let the time-traveling hackers get into her Twitter account. How stupid can she be, right? All right, we're going to take a lot of calls, 844-500-4242. But I want to play the Baker cuts. Baker was out there today, and of course he's blaming Trump for everything. It's Trump's fault that 2/3 of the people are dead in nursing homes. He basically said that, and but this is, and he's also saying nothing. Trump has no evidence that there's been any voter fraud. Let's just go down the list. Cut 19.
I can't think of a worse time to stall a transition than amid a deadly pandemic that the federal government continues to own primary responsibility for responding to.
Wait a second.
The Trump campaign has...
Who was Trump in charge of of regulating the state's nursing homes? Was Trump in charge of the Holyoke Soldiers Home? Did Bennett Walsh, the superintendent of the Holyoke Soldiers Home, did he give money to Trump to get his job? Wow. What stones this guy has got pointing. Does he take responsibility for anything? Go ahead.
The Trump campaign has legitimate legal challenges. They should bring them to court, and the court should deal with those as quickly and as fairly as possible. But I'm aware of no legitimate claims of wrongdoing anywhere near the scale it would take to affect this outcome, and there's no credible third-party entity that's verified the president's claims in any way.
You can't go to court until you've had the recounts, right? I mean, if you go into court now, the judge would say, wait a second, you're not going to go to me until you recount the ballots. Then if you have a complaint, you bring it to the court. He knows this. I mean, this is just playing to the cheap seats. But what else does he play to? He's the worst. Go ahead.
Continuing to make these claims.
All right.
This is the next cut.
Okay, here's the next cut. This is on the importance of the transition.
Continuing to make these claims erodes trust in the system when, in fact, the election system is working exactly as it was designed to.
Really?
And let's not forget, there are Republican elected officials with major roles to play in the vote counting process in many of the states that are in dispute. Anybody who doubts that should take a look at some of Brad Raffensperger's comments, who's the current Republican Secretary of State.
He's been asked to resign by both of the senators, Charlie Parker, maybe the in the satchel reporters that worship you don't know that, but he's totally screwed up the entire thing. He's as bad a Republican as you or Phil Scott. Go ahead.
Whether or not he thinks the process there was above board, proper, and appropriate. Orderly transitions of power are good for the country. They're good for the American people. There's simply no question on this. And every campaign season, we hear a lot about doing what's best for the country. And what this president is doing at this point in time is not in the best interest of this country. The administration needs to move forward and cooperate with the president-elect's transition team immediately.
Oh, shut up. All right. Why don't you go do a standout at Holyoke Soldiers Home? Your political hack that you put in to this run the Holyoke Soldiers Home has been indicted for criminal neglect. 2/3 of the 10,000 dead in Massachusetts are in your nursing homes, the nursing homes whose operators gave you $52,000, that gave the House Speaker $45,000, that gave the Lieutenant Governor $37,000. And you looked the other way, and almost 7,000 people are dead, and you're blaming the Trump administration? Have you, at long last, no shame, Mr. Tal Deval, Charlie Parker? Cut 21.
I've been a Republican for 40 years. I've raised money for Republican candidates.
Mainly for
knocked doors
yourself.
for Republican candidates. I've answered and made phone calls for Republican candidates.
Oh, you're so selfless.
But this latest move to employ the Department of Justice in all of this is so wildly inappropriate. Installing an orderly transition process, especially at a time like this, is equally unacceptable.
See, he's still claiming that this is like the bubonic plague. Nobody else believes it, but he believes it. He's the Pope of panic porn. And so 207 says, is it Trump's fault that we now have a vaccine? I'm guessing it's Biden's accomplishment. Exactly right, 207. Yeah. Do you think does Charlie Parker sound like someone who blanked the presidential vote? No, I think not. Cut 22.
And more of what I hear coming out of this conversation implies to me that some of this is just raw double standard and nothing else.
What does that mean? You mean that the incumbent president wants all the votes counted And that's a double standard because the Democrat wants to count all the votes that weren't there, the challenger. Okay, one more cut, and then we'll move on here from this jive 23. I know this is raising
I said what I meant. So I think it's ridiculous for somebody to make this argument that if you think the results of an election appear to be legitimate, and there are Republicans all over the country who actually manage those results, that you would come out and say that anybody who questions that is not really a Republican. I believe in many of the things that the Republican Party I support stands for, which is why I've been one for 40 years. One of the things I don't believe
shutting down the economy, destroying small business,
in elective office is this idea
taking money, thousands from nursing home operators, and then turning the other way while thousands die. Go ahead.
Only legit if you win.
Oh, shut up. That's enough of him. 844-500-4242. We're going to take a lot of calls in the next segments, and I just wanted to play that. So Trump owns this problem. Did Trump put a hack in the Holyoke Soldiers Home? Did Trump put the Department of Public Health, one of the most corrupt departments in state government, in control of these nursing homes, regulating them after their multiple scandals in the past? I'm Howie Carr.
I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Eden Pure will continue their buy one, get one free promotion for the Thunderstorm air purification system all week long. Eden Pure is able to do this due to the huge success from the Howie Carr Show listeners. The response has been tremendous, and Eden Pure is passing on those savings to the listeners. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand and plug into the wall. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm works like a real thunderstorm. It quietly sends out super oxygen and ions to kill odors in your room. Over the weekend, I saw my daughter Carolyn, and she asked if she could have one for her basement in her new home. She asked if it really works, and I said, of course it does. You won't believe it. If you bought one for your home and enjoy the big difference in smell, take advantage of the BOGO offer now and buy one for a family member like I'm going to do for Carolyn. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieBOGO. That's EdenPure.com. And with code word HowieBOGO, shipping is free.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games.
And, you know, it's said often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday.
My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got two beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice.
I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon.
Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial offender like him to be running around unsupervised.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
617 says Charlie Parker is the reason I am unenrolled and not a Republican. Well, I think that's the best way to go, is to be unenrolled, because that way you can vote in a Democrat primary. You have two chances to knock off the most loathsome candidate, usually. Bruce from the Met says, H. Parker clearly knows his days as a Republican are over. He's just paving the way for his gravy train as a Dem after getting ousted. What a disgusting twerp. 603, Charlie Parker has been about as much of a Republican as Barack. 781, Baker needs to shut the bleep up. 413, Mr. Governor, why are there suddenly 50K plus tests a day, not 18K? Mr. Governor, why are there now 16 towns high risk, not 121? What is going on? Exactly. That's a good point. The last week they changed the metrics. They're making it up as they go along, and they call that changing the metrics. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Howie, I just came up with a great idea. I just wish we had thought of it earlier. Since we have so much international news media covering that our media isn't covering, and we got that Senate runoff in December. You know what we should do? We should have like student exchange programs and let children from all over the world count the polls and then show how honest and sincere our election polls are.
I know. You know that this is a good point. There was something I'm looking for right now in my stack of stuff, but I'll find it. There is somebody found a report on the State Department website from the elections in Ukraine in 2004, and everything in that was cited as a reason for thinking that the Ukrainian elections were fixed has happened in the United States of America. It's really amazing. I just found it right now. This is the State Department report from 2004. They bullet pointed the problems with the Ukrainian election. Illegal use of absentee ballots. Stop me if you've heard any of this before. Opposition observers ejected. North Korean style turnout in the East. Philadelphia, for instance. Mobile ballot box fraud. That was a big thing in Nevada, right? Computer data allegedly altered to favor one of the candidates. We don't call it computer data altered. We call it glitches. So this is a classic case of something that the UN observers or Jimmy Carter or somebody should be sent in to observe the election fraud going on in the world's oldest democracy. 844-500-4242. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Howie. I just wanted to say the governor should just take care of Boston. He's got a little problem with his vision. You should have seen the problems coming when they were burning the police car and destroying business on Boylston Street. They should have the National Guard out there. A lot sooner than they did. But Howie, I had one theory possibly on those 400,000 votes that just were marked by Biden. Mark for Biden. You could see them in a room or multiple rooms saying, listen, we're running out of time. Just mark Biden and forget the others. I could just see them panicking, just saying, mark it, racing against the clock, trying to get the votes in his votes for surgeon.
Right. No, I think, that's a good theory. I mean, I've seen that suggested on the internet that they thought that Biden was going to win easily, just like they thought Hillary Clinton was going to win easily. And they thought they'd stolen enough votes through various methods, whether it's this software or the mail-in ballots, and all of a sudden they realize they're running behind. They stop the count in all those states, and they just create these ballots. But there's another theory too that the Democrat playbook for stealing an election is you don't try to steal it up and down. You just pick one race or two races that you want to steal, and because it's just too much to steal everything at this point anyway. You got to get people used to having everything stolen by the Democrats and having elections mean nothing. But it's interesting that what happened here in New England. Even there's a story in Breitbart today. Deeply blue New England disrupted by Republican wins in down ballot races, and it's really strange what happened in New Hampshire, isn't it? And I don't know what happened exactly, but Biden carried the state by 7 points. Jean Shaheen was reelected easily, and the two congressional district remained in Democrat hands, even though Matt Mowers was ahead in one late poll over Chris Pappas in the Seacoast district. But yet, at the legislative level, the state legislative level, the New Hampshire Senate flipped from 14-10 Democrat majority to 14-10 Republican majority. There were 157 Republicans in the 400-seat House. Now they have 213. So the Republicans have picked up 56 seats. I mean, it's a big body, but still 56 seats they picked up. And they took control of the executive council, which is like their governor's like our governor's council, but it's more powerful. They now have a 4-1 majority on the governor's council. I think it was 3-2 Democrat in the past. And two Democrat House speakers lost in New England. In Rhode Island, the House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello from Cranston was beaten by the mayor of Cranston's wife. But I don't think is that surprising. I mean, that mayor was Fung is his name. He was pretty popular. I think he's term limited out, but he ran for governor a couple of times, I think, and he did pretty well in a Democrat state. So I don't think that was as surprising. In Vermont, House Speaker Mitzi Johnson, a representative since 2003 and speaker since 2017, narrowly lost her seat to a Republican. I don't know what was at play there, but it's always good to turn these legislative seats over, legislative leadership especially. You don't want people getting in there for 30 or 40 years like Bulger or all the crooked House speakers that we've had in Massachusetts. Barbara, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Barbara.
Howie, thank you so much, and thank you for your program and for all that you do. I served 2 terms in the New Hampshire House, and I'm a little perplexed at what happened in this last election. I'm hopeful we're going to be turning things around in New Hampshire. But what I wanted to talk to you about or ask you about tonight is I'm very concerned at some of the pundits, especially Pat Buchanan, who I've followed for years. I was a delegate for him in 1996. And they're telling Trump to stand down in this situation where we know there was absolute fraud. And I would like to hear your thoughts on this. And I'm going to hang up and listen. And
Well,
again,
I didn't know that
really
Pat. What did Pat say this in a column?
There's a column that came out today that says he needs to be careful, and to me, what it said was he needs to stand down. And I'm thinking, why do we stand down if we have legal grounds to call into question what happened?
Right.
And I know you've had him on your program, and I love him to death. I mean, I was a delegate for him in 1996, but I don't like it when I hear these pundits say we need to stand down when we know
I agree.
There was fraud.
I agree, Barbara. We'll see if we can get him on tomorrow. Okay, we'll make a call to him, and because he usually comes on the show, so we'll see if we can find him. I hadn't seen the column, but I'll check it out during the 20-hour interims between the shows. Thanks for the call, Barbara. Mike, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Howie, on Marine Corps birthday in the eve of Veterans Day.
Yes.
All us vets out here want to say thanks to you and your crew because you guys never let us down when it's vets issues. So,
well, thank you. Thanks, Mike.
you
Thanks
helped
for
us
your
out.
service, and thanks to all the vets on here on Veterans Day Eve for their service. And again, happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps. Semper Fi.
Yep, they helped us out. You helped us out on the Jarhead deal with the motorcycle crash, stuff like that. You guys have always been there for us. So we really appreciate it. So
thank you.
Howie, by the way.
Yes.
I called Paris Island because I was trying to get Barnacle's boot camp picture, but I ain't having any luck.
Don't hold your breath, Mike. He said Mike Barnacle returns to Paris Island, and I always think about that when I'm flying south from Boston to Florida. I'm returning to Paris Island too, Mike. 35,000 feet above. And I always wave, thinking of Mike Barnacle as we fly over the South Carolina coast. Mike Barnacle used to say that he was a Marine, and then he stopped saying he was a Marine because he never was a Marine. He ran an elevator on Capitol Hill during the Vietnam War. Thanks for the call, Mike. 844-500-4242. Ray, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ray.
Hi, Howie. How are you tonight?
Good.
You got a great staff, great show, and I'm the biggest fan up here in Lowell, Mass. I can tell. Well, not the biggest. There's many of us up here, big fans of your show and your staff and stuff. The cut you played on with Charlie Parker, as you call him. He says he's been a Republican for 40 years or something like that. And he like I'll have to agree with what you said about one of your previous callers or somebody who texted you or something. He's about as Republican as Barack Obama, really.
Right.
I mean, he is.
Someone just said he's as Republican as he's as much a Republican as Captain Kangaroo as a military officer. That's true too.
The question I have is, and I'm being facetious here, but this guy is a disgrace to the Republican Party. He really is. He's a disgrace. And, I'm going to wait. I listen to your show every day faithfully. I don't want to miss it. I consider my day incomplete if I missed your show, But, try to find in your archives there, try to find these statements that Charlie Parker or Baker or whatever the hell you call him, the statements he issued for the 3.5, almost 4 years when the Democrats were making up evidence about Russian collusion and what Hillary Clinton was exposed to have done. And so try to find some in your archives.
Oh, he was totally on board with the whole hoax.
Of course he was. Of course he was. So
I don't need to pull the sound. I mean, we can pull the sound, but I remember it well. It was driving me crazy, just like this crap is driving me crazy. And how dare he say that Trump owns this thing? He's got a higher he's got the second highest nursing home death rate in the United States of America, the second highest. He's got the third highest overall death rate in the United States, and he's blaming Trump. How come there's 47, 48 other governors that have a lower death rate than him? Are they blaming Trump?
And Howie, the other thing that Charlie Baker says that I'm noticing from Democrats, I'm just going to call him a Democrat because we all know he is It's this comment they make after they say something where they go, and that's without question. That's not even questioned. There's no question about that. It's like this abusive way of telling people you're not allowed to question it. Like, who says it's without question? Who says this election was on the up and up because Charlie Baker says so?
Right. Well, he also says the schools are open and the economy is running. Is that the case? Look around you. Go to your local downtown. Go to the city of Boston. You think the economy's running? The MBTA has 1/4 as many passengers as they did a year ago. Is that the economy up and running? This is all on Charlie Parker.
I love how he says Trump needs to start this transition now. I feel like saying to him, or what? What are you going to do about it? You're going to stick him in one of the nursing homes?
Mm-hmm. I know.
He acts like he's such a tough guy when he talks about Trump, and then everything else he's wishy-washy.
I'll still remember that party, the night of the inauguration, or the night before the inauguration down in D.C. It was the Massachusetts party, and he pulled the same BS that he pulled this time. Oh, I didn't vote for either of them. They're no damn good. And then he shows up at the inauguration party, expecting to be treated like some kind of conquering hero. What a fraud. What a 14-carat phony he is. Ugh. All right, we got to take a break. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Take advantage of limited time Black Friday savings and let HelloFresh spice up mealtime at home with simple recipes and fresh ingredients. Sourced directly from growers and delivered to your door, contact free. With more than 22 weekly recipes, there's something for everyone to enjoy, including family friendly, vegetarian, and low calorie choices. You can finally say goodbye to never ending meal planning and prep.
Yeah.
Someone wants me to tweet out the thing on the Ukraine, the State Department's verdict on the Ukraine. It's on redstate.com.
Okay.
Yikes. State Department precedent qualifies this 2020 election as rigged. Okay.
All right, we'll do.
Okay, thanks.
Off, including free shipping during HelloFresh's Black Friday sale. For a limited time only, go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie90 for $90 off. HelloFresh.com.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts.
I get in trouble some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president,
Me, it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
One of the listeners wanted to know where to get that story about the State Department in 2004 saying that the Ukrainian election was rigged because of exactly the same things that have gone on here since the election. And I tweeted out the story. I just tweeted out the story. It's from Red State, but you can find it if you're a follower at Howie Carr Show. It's right there. Representative Kevin McCarthy has been predicting lately that Pelosi will not have enough votes to retain the House speakership, and I don't know if that's true or not, or he's just trying to get a little, just stir up a little trouble. They got a lot fewer Democrats in there, and I guess she lost 15 votes in the last House race for House Speaker, 15 Democrat votes, and 10 of those people are going to be back. And if you add them to the Republicans, that's a majority. But I don't know if she would have her ways to get them back into line. I guess I don't know what's going to happen. We'll follow it as the days go by. Johnny, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, Howie, some great comments today. Some good callers, man. Semper Fi to all you jarheads out there. Hey, my brother just came back from Pennsylvania. He was down hunting last week, and they drove out to the far end of Pennsylvania, and he's just Trump signs everywhere. He couldn't fathom that he would have lost that state, and
nobody can.
The support was. No, and it's just. But I got to get to Charlie Parker real quick. You know what? Trump should just come out and say, "I'll concede the election when your son goes to court for his charge of molesting that woman." Just to shut him up. I can't.
Oh no, he was the one. He's the one. Oh, I know. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's that they broomed that case, and it's like he can't do anything about the state police because they have that report. Although we now have the report, so I don't know what it really matters. I mean, he's got the U.S. attorney to. You know what's interesting? Come to think of it, though. If people are saying that Rachel Rollins, if Biden got in there, she might become the U.S. attorney. And I know she has a different view on whether Gropey should be prosecuted or not. I don't think the statute of limitations has run out. Not that I want Biden, and it's a very small silver lining, but that might be a very small silver lining that Gropey might be prosecuted if Rachel Rollins ever became the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Massachusetts. Thanks for bringing that up, Johnny. Captain Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Captain Bob.
Yeah, something that I haven't heard much of. The military, and especially the commissioned officers, we're still on the hook to preserve and protect the Constitution. If, in fact, this fiasco gets resolved and the lawyers find out that the Constitution has been violated, it's going to be interesting to see what the military does. I don't think the military, I hope the military doesn't do anything, really, honestly. Thanks for the call, Captain Bob. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. We'll be here. I'm Howie Carr.